I did click. I clicked on the wrong one, but that's okay.
I had a nice little base.
Yeah. This is the one I normally do.
Be a little more techno.
Yeah, a little techno-y, but I clicked on the wrong one.
We're so early, nobody's watching.
I know. Well, we'll give it a few seconds. That's why I usually do the longer one. It gives me more time about the scramble and like get you guys back in. So that's okay. Hey guys, welcome to season 7, episode 13. Book. Lucky number 13.
On Pi Day.
On Pi
Day.
Oh shit! It is Pi Day.
I wore a pie shirt, a pie graph on my shirt for Pi Day. I went to a Pi Day party. But we'll get to that in personal life in just a second because I want to talk about that.
Because it's a lucky duck.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, but before we get to that, some quick announcements. We do have one new patron, so thank you, Ham and Cheese. This episode's for you, Ham and Cheese.
Ham and Cheese.
Wait, that's just one patron, or we have two Ham and Cheese?
It's just one.
Or it's, Ham and Cheese. All right.
Yeah, Ham and Cheese. Yeah.
All right. Like Chris said, this one's for you.
I had a ham and cheese sandwich today for lunch too.
Well, I had a ham and cheese pie.
What?
I did.
I was like,
I'm not even joking. I did.
It took me a second because when you said pie, my brain automatically goes to like a cream pie or something. So like when you said ham and cheese, I got a little.
It was like more like an empanada, but it was like circular, and it was like dough folded over with ham and cheese in the middle. It was really good. It was a pie.
I love how you said empanada.
Ham and cheese. Yeah.
Empanada, I know.
Empanada. Whatever.
Especially ham and cheese empanada.
Yeah.
Those empty nadas.
Yeah. No, he said it correctly for it being a ham and cheese one. That was
great. There it is.
So, anyways, before we go any further, a few other announcements. We are going to sometime soon be doing another Cosmere episode since we're all caught up on part 1 of the Way Kings. So that'll be coming up someday. I'll announce it shortly in our Discord for everyone. And then for patrons only, at some point next week, if you guys are able to, the next chapter reading that we're doing for patrons, it's the next chapter that we have. So we have to find a day.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll talk offline. But that will be like last minute. Like, hey,
your message. I quite literally left it like unread because I was like, what is he talking about? Maybe it was a little.
I thought we were doing a live reading for Way of the Kings by that message.
No, that's for the next wheel read patrons only.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
So the next chapter is it doesn't have to be the whole next episode, just the next chapter.
Gotcha.
So anyways, we'll figure all that out. So that's it for our discombobulated announcements. We do have guests on tonight. We have Tom from dragonmount.com joining us and Zuul from everywhere.
The super famous Zuul, thank you. And Tom Dana. With an H.
That's me.
Thank you.
That's right.
There is no Dana, there is only Zuul.
It's Tom Ass.
That's Tom Ass. I also go by that.
Yeah.
Or just the ass.
We'll see how the night goes, and then we'll figure out.
Of course, Tom has been on our podcast before, but he's a puppet.
I was a puppet then.
Last time he was on. So.
Felt Tom is hanging out in the closet right now with my green screen.
So so we have Dragon Mount Tom tonight, not Felt Tom. So
Meet Tom. I'm Meet Tom.
Meet Tom.
Yep.
Meet Tom.
Meet puppet.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's gonna be fun. But as far as personal lives go, today's Pi Day. So happy Pi Day, everybody. I got home from work today, and my wife's like, "Hey, we got invited to a pie party," and I was like, "What does that mean?" It's like, "Yeah, everyone's bringing over a pie. I just got done cooking a lemon chess pie. Everybody's gonna bring their own pies, and we're gonna eat pie." And I was like, count me in. So we immediately packed the kids up and it went over to a pie party. So I had pizza pie and apple pie and ham and cheese pie and shepherd's pie. And I feel fat and happy right now.
Lord, I was about to say.
We got to keep him awake now.
A wet dream.
And now I'm ready to sleep.
Yeah.
But I was like, this is a great idea for a party, a pie party. It's amazing.
I heard my wife when I said it is Pie Day. She was like, "Fuck," because I'm sorry. Can we curse? Can I curse?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Well, we can now.
No.
Yeah.
No.
What the fuck you doing, Tom?
We couldn't before. We can now.
We can now. I will start sweating like Uno.
As a matter of fact, viewer discretion is advised. This chapter gets this.
Yo, for real.
Yes, viewer listener discretion is advised for this episode.
Trigger warnings,
essay,
warnings,
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting some sensitive topics.
Mhm.
Our topic. But yeah, so what about you guys? What's personal life going on this wonderful Pi Day?
Well, it's also Pi Day where I live. Yay! Wow. I almost forgot. Like, I was midway through the day at work and I had put the date on some paperwork and I'm looking at it and I'm like, something's supposed to be happening today. And then it clicked. And normally I try to like bake some pies and everything and actually put effort into it. But I went to the frozen section, got some chicken pot pies, and then I've never really got like the frozen pies, like the chocolate cream pie thing that's
Mhm.
you just set it on the counter and let it thaw a bit and then eat it.
I love
Mhm.
So I grabbed a
Those
couple
are
of them that were
good.
looked fancy-ish.
Did you get the
Bro,
Oreo
they
one?
were
They are
so
good.
good.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. It's the
d
Maria's
yeah,
brand.
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
know
am
Somebody
about
brings one of
those.
somebody brings those to Thanksgiving. I make sure I get there before it's gone.
devour.
And they're like
Yeah,
cheap as all get up because it's just
right.
straight up sugar.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, well, it'll be something, but it won't be great because it was so inexpensive and not
Yeah,
homemade, blah blah blah.
no,
But it
you
was
feel
wonderful.
so bad for doubting it.
Yep. Oh yeah, we're gonna go back to that section of
Maria
the store
Callender's, I think, is the brand.
Mhm.
Yep,
It's
pretty
really
good.
bad. I'm that fat.
That's the chicken. I mean the chicken pot pies that I get are Marie Calendar.
Yeah,
Chicken pot,
Yep.
chicken pot pie.
Those pies are so easy to make. It's literally just pudding but if you read the directions for the pie version of it, it's just like a little less milk in the pudding, and then you just put it in
Yeah.
a pie crust. You're done.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, and then
Yummy.
and if you want to do a 3-layer, you do like the pudding, and then you save part of the pudding and mix a little bit of Cool Whip with it, and make a second layer, and then you just put
Ooh.
Cool Whip on top of that, and then if you have any
Mhm.
like
And you crumble Oreos.
if you made your own Oreo
Man, now I'm
crust
hungry.
or chocolate graham cracker crust, and you just crumble some of that on top.
Or you
Super
buy
easy.
2 graham cracker crusts. You use one, you crush the other, and put it on
My
top.
God.
That's like
Next
a 7-layer
time.
sugar pie.
Next time on the Wheel Eats. We'll be-
Let's dig in.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I will have whipped cream and pudding all over my beard.
Yeah.
Mm.
I had a
You
little
have a
bit of
beer
that, but I
guard
cleaned
you
up.
could put on there.
That's what
maybe?
she said? Or he said?
No, Zuul, you
That's
don't
what I
want to
was thinking.
prevent it. It actually helps it grow. You want some food to
It does.
dribble in it from time to
Mhm.
time.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Especially
the
good if you
cat
get some
cooked it,
egg
you
in
know.
there.
Yep.
I think
Yeah.
it's the oil. Oils it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
a little bit, yeah.
Chris,
what about you?
Just
What's
kind of rub
going
it around.
What's going
Ian,
on in your
did you
world,
actually
Chris?
have anything else to talk about from your?
No, I'm gonna leave it at Pi Day. I mean, life is generally pretty good. I'm not avoiding anything, but Pi Day's just fun. It's a stupid reason to eat
He
pie.
said he's not avoiding anything.
Because I've had a lot of like Debbie Downer, like, well, this is my life. I guess it's okay. I'll survive, but today's Pi Day, so we're right.
Yeah, Eeyore's my favorite character. So
I love Eeyore.
yeah, I feel like a little bit of a loser. I didn't actually make it to Alan's house like I wanted to, but made my way to Newport News and just had a lot of great family time. It was my sister's 30th birthday on Saturday. And so like I specifically took off to make sure that I could get there for her birthday and celebrate that because if nobody else did it, if I didn't do it, nobody else would.
Yeah.
So we
That's
took her
good,
out for a
brother.
really nice weekend, like just hung out, got to spend time with the nephews, spent time with just a plethora of family members, going to their different homes and going to see a movie. We saw 65. I always miss the title up. It's a number and I can't remember the title. 65. That was quite interesting. Put a
Okay.
spin on like what happened with the dinosaurs and such and people being
Oh,
there
like
before the
65
dinosaurs
billion
died.
years ago.
Wait, who was in that? I just saw a preview.
Yeah.
Adam Driver.
Driver, that's right. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know
Was it good?
people's names.
Kylo
Doesn't
Ren.
matter.
Kylo Ren.
I've been reading-
Kylo Ren.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Was
That
it
was
good?
him.
That's a hard question. I enjoyed the movie. How about that?
Okay.
I won't call it
Okay.
good because it almost appeared to be low budget. There was 2 actors and then well, not 2. There for the majority of the movie there were 2 actors and a bunch of CGI, but I didn't fall asleep. And
I might wait for it to come out in stream.
yeah, it's one that you could
Might
honestly wait unless you have A-lister. Like we have A-listers, so we see every movie.
Yeah, that's we used to do that before COVID. I haven't been back to the theater since COVID, actually. Damn, but
Oh,
we had
God,
A-list
like-
too. I love that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why.
Okay.
So
That's a hell of a review for a movie too. I'm sorry. The 65. I didn't fall asleep.
So I guess it's all
So-
right.
Yeah.
here's the like I have fallen asleep during every single Can I speak tonight? Marvel movie. I have fallen asleep before every battle scene. I woken up
Damn.
in the middle. And the other thing, I'll fall asleep in a movie and know exactly what happens because they
You're like
all
half
kind of,
listening, but you're
yeah, I am.
zoned in.
I'm like just in that zone. So I didn't fall asleep. That's big.
That's
Osmosis.
because Chris stays too busy. You get him to sit down for a couple of minutes in the theater, and he's like, "I'm
There you
comfortable."
go.
Mug
And
flex.
then
Hands
I'm
in the
not eating any
popcorn.
pie because we're fasting right now, which is probably why I can't talk because a little bit of a headache. But
There you go.
that is
Cool.
life.
I ate enough
Alright.
for you, bro. You're covered. Don't worry about it.
Appreciate you. I'm slightly panicking. The girl goes in tomorrow to get fixed. So the cat, not the wife.
Cat, yeah.
So
Sure.
True.
I would hope you would not like say it that way.
Yeah, seriously.
'Cause I've met Chanel and she seems so kind and so
Chanel's in
sweet,
the
but I
other
do
room,
believe
and
she
she
would
would
take you
come
out
in and just straight up murk you.
Right, yeah.
She already said
see
hey
us-
as soon as I
with a
said
smile on her face. She would take you
Yeah,
out.
it.
You see that sandal come from off camera, just hit him in the side
Yeah.
of the head.
bap.
Don't.
Yeah.
There you go.
Boom!
All right, but the cat makes sense. Okay.
Anything for you, Tom or Zuul? Anything going on?
Oh man, not really. I mean, I'm home all the time, so like, we work from home, my wife and I, so like we're always here. But I'm building a piece of furniture. I found one on the side. I'm doing one of those things. I found it on the side of the road. I was like, I want that, and then
Like a
I'm
refurb.
yeah. So today I sanded the whole top of it, did some gluing of things, and it's in my garage
Okay.
drying. That's what I did today. I forgot that it was Pie Day, so I'm jonesing some pie right now.
It's not too late.
It's not too late.
I know, but Publix is open for another hour and a half. I'm gonna message my wife, be like, go get us some pie.
Instacart. Buy me.
Sounds
That's
good.
awesome.
All right, well, you guys ready to
Well-
get into this? Oh, Zuul.
Oh,
yeah,
Zuul.
let's-
Which
Yeah,
oh,
I
yeah,
see.
Zuul. You got
Yeah.
to give your shout.
Yeah,
Go,
so,
go.
I will probably be disappearing maybe for like 10 minutes for just a little bit at some point, and maybe after the first 2 chapters, I'm going to leave and go over to the Way of the Leaf channel, where some wonderful people, the Way of the Leaf Twatcast, are hosting a fundraiser for me and my
Yes.
parents. We had a tornado, which I was noticing that this Watcon symbol kind of looks like a tornado symbol.
Yeah, I thought you were. I thought that was on purpose. I was like, well, I'll let her bring it
This
up.
is
I'm
my
not going to
Watcon
say it.
staff shirt from like last summer.
Yeah.
I didn't want to represent any one content creator for this.
How could you?
So I wanted to represent the whole fandom, and for me, that's the closest I have to that. So, but yeah, on March 2nd, we had a tornado that hit our house, and there is a GoFundMe that the Twatcast and the Way of Leaf sponsored. And a lot of the money got raised right away. And so they're just having like 3 hours of fun, and all different people from the fandom. And if you've never, you could just go over and watch and enjoy all the shenanigans, because I guarantee there will be shenanigans. And you might find a new YouTube channel, new podcast. They're going to have all kinds of people on over there. You might find your new favorite. So
I might be on there too after this is over with.
Ooh,
yeah, me
yay.
too. Yeah.
I may have prepared some Watt Mad Libs.
Yeah.
Yes, games. I love Mad Libs.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
Fun.
and it will be recorded, so you can go back and watch it later. Just enjoy, and it's kind of our, also thank you to the fandom for everything they've been doing for me and supporting us.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Awesome. All right. Let's do this. Chapter 28.
Serious face.
Bread and
Wah,
cheese.
wah, wah.
So Matt's getting ready to move into the palace. His dice has stopped rolling his head because as soon as Elaine and Nynaeve mentioned that there's rooms in the palace, they stopped. Which usually means not really a good thing. It could be a good thing. We haven't really figured that out yet. It just means that the dice have stopped.
It kind of feels like his chance to like affect what's going to happen is over. Like something
There
significant's
you
going to
go.
happen.
We're
May not be
learning
bad
now.
or good, but all right, the road's not forking anymore. Now you're at a decision point. You're at a like something is going to happen.
So you're saying you think like his when the dice are rolling, it's like his chance juices are flowing, and like that's
Yeah.
when things are in flux.
Right, and maybe he has opportunity then to affect, but once it stops, it's like boom,
Okay.
and now whatever it is going to happen.
I mean, he even says it when they stopped spinning, it was too late not to do something. I mean, he had to do
Right.
something, but it also means it's too late to change the course.
Right.
And it
It's
does get
apologize.
confusing
Too
in
late.
these chapters because maybe they stop, but then
They'll
later
start
on
again.
they'll start again, and you're like, now what happened? Something else happened
Right.
to trigger
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like there's a lot of stuff happening
He's got
to
the
him. And he's
worst
just like,
severance ever.
hey, he makes lots of money though.
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
does.
That's true. That's true.
right
But-
now worst, but
Yeah.
again, if
Pew, pew.
if he can figure out this dice rattling
Yeah,
enough
no.
and recognize when he has opportunity to push or pull or change,
Yeah.
if he could take advantage of that somehow, which I don't know how.
I mean,
But-
he does it with gambling, right?
yeah.
Well, he's figured out it works with that. But
Yeah.
does
I thought
he
you-
know? Is he in control, or
And then
does
all
he
three
just
come
recognize that it
together.
happens?
I thought you were gonna go with the Homer Simpson, like not worst yet.
Right.
And
It's the
later
worst day
on-
ever.
All the
It's your
powers
worst
come
day
Later
ever.
on, I think
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
second, in the next, in the second chapter, he
So
talks about his Taviran nature and randomness and how that he's kind of starting to figure that out. So he's trying to puzzle all this
Right.
stuff out and how it works.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I feel like he's certainly at the point where he's embracing it now. He's like, okay,
Yeah.
I kind of called BS books ago,
Mhm.
chapters ago, but now, okay, this is a thing. So
Yep.
he's starting to
Yeah.
take note, but still doesn't know how to use it for anything. It just is
Yeah.
right
Yeah,
now.
he's figuring it out though.
And despite not wanting to go to the palace at all, I mean, it's very adamant he doesn't really want to be here. He's happy with the rooms they gave him. I mean, they gave him like a really large room. There's a large sitting room and a small sitting room, a large sitting room too.
Huge
and a mid bed, huge bed, and arched
Huge.
windows, and gilded standard lamps, and mirrors,
And-
and even a clock.
And his people
know.
are all happy too. They're like, "Oh, Matt, this is awesome. This is so
Yeah.
cool." And he's like, "Yeah, I guess it's all right."
It's like silk sheets. Who ever heard of such a thing? Silk
Yeah,
sheets.
some sheets.
I love some silk sheets.
Yeah, and yeah. So he's happy with the bed chambers or with his rooms, but he doesn't want to be there
For
at all.
now,
No.
he's happy with them. For now,
Yeah.
He was very.
He wasn't
trepidatious
really
of-
ever
of
happy
moving
about
in.
him.
No,
Yeah.
he was.
He was-
No.
He was happy that he was able to strike a deal with the girls. Like,
Yeah.
I'm doing
Mhm.
this because it's a give and take. And, to be fair, you're allowing me to, well, you should be allowing me to put people with you, but clearly you're not already breaking said rules since you're out on your own and nobody has any idea where you're at. Not like it's their fault, but
Yeah.
he doesn't know that.
yeah.
Someone
But
else
they-
chose it for
they-
him, so he hates it.
But they did make him
And there's that.
promise.
Yeah.
I went back and read the last points of view with Matt, like where Brigitte goes and talks to him, and they get drunk together, and then the next day, Nynaeve and Elaine go over, and when they remember to extract a promise from him
Yeah.
that he will move in right away,
Right.
because once he makes a
holds his word.
promise, he keeps his word, and that is very important
Yep.
for what goes on in these
Mm.
chapters, because he's keeping his word.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think their relationship, I think Matt and Brigitte's relationship, like entirely platonic, but I think their relationship together is like my favorite. Just their interactions and stuff.
They're like
well,
brother and sister.
And we talked about that blip when they got drunk together. What
Yeah.
a great relief for like Wheel of Time
Both of
readers. Was that the first time where there was like good open communication back and forth between people?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
pretty
mean, they had to
much.
get
Yeah.
wasted to do it, but he calls her out on a few things, and she's like, "Yeah, but what language you talking now?" And then it's like
Porn sounder.
and then they just start
And
like
he's
talking to each other and
"No."
like showing all their cards to each other, most of their cards
Yeah.
to each other,
Yeah,
right?
Mhm.
And I was
great.
like, "This is wonderful. Everybody should do this." And then it was over.
Mhm.
And they barely
Yeah.
remember. that.
And then the queen comes in, Thailand.
Little rough.
Little rough.
My
So,
favorite person.
yeah, she's
Yay.
laying on thick, I guess is a way to put it. She appears and Matt protests right away to her advances, but she just kind of sits on his lap. Starts whispering all these
Well,
things to
and he's
him,
sitting here
kissing on him,
muttering
yeah.
to himself. He's like, "I'm not a bloody cat." In regards to like men teach cat curiosity, but cat keeps sense for themselves. And he's like, "Well, I'm no bloody cat." And then she goes, "Well, of course you're not a cat. You're a succulent little duckling, is what you are." And he literally jumps out of his skin.
Yeah.
He thinks he's there by
Ow.
himself, and she just comes out of nowhere. He's like, "Majesty, thank you for the
Mhm.
wonderful apartments. I'd love to talk to you, but I gotta go. I'll see you later. Bye."
Yeah.
Bye.
And she
See you
doesn't
later.
take it.
Okay.
Mhm.
Before we kind of get started here, yes, we talked about it being a sensitive topic, and I would
Mhm.
just want to be clear. I requested to be on these chapters, and books ago, I had kind of mentioned it to Alan.
Mhm.
I reread this book back in 2020, and hadn't
Mhm.
read them since, I don't know, early 2000s, and something happened in my life between the first time I read them, the first few times, and this time when I read them.
Mm.
And so I felt that it would be good to have someone who is a survivor of sexual abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse in here, because and the fact that I read it both before and after that happened, and read it, and it struck me differently.
Yeah.
And I appreciate Robert Jordan's writing better now. And so I just want to be upfront with that, so this is where my lens, where I'm coming from on this. And
Yeah.
all the way through this, I say, look at what Matt's thinking, his intrusive thoughts at times. And, just his frame of reference, because there are people in the Wheel of Time fandom who don't see this as sexual abuse at all. They see it as consensual all the way. And some people still don't believe that men can be sexually abused by a woman, especially, if their body reacts. I mean, that's just biology. Your body can react. And so this is a topic that is still discussed to this day. And even as more enlightened and out in the open with this topic we are within our society, it's still an issue. So I wanted to be a representative for that, and say I'm probably going to be referencing specific things that he's thinking, because I will tell you, it's very true. I cannot believe what a good job Robert Jordan did of getting into his thoughts and like talking about all these little things about like how he's getting around behind the table, and he's like trying to do all these different things of avoidance, and you see it throughout these chapters.
There's that and a level of reflection. It says she started humming. He recognized the tune. He had hummed it to a few girls lately. He was wise enough not to try actually singing it with his voice, and besides, the words they usually in Abu Dar would have singed his ears, excuse me. Around here they called it "I will still your breath with kisses." Laughing nervously, he tried to put a lapis inlaid table between them, but she somehow got around it, first without seeming to increase her speed. So again, there's a level of like reflection in this as well. He realizes that he's being put in a situation that he himself did not want to be in, humming a tune that is provocative, or hearing a tune that is hummed provocatively, that he himself has hummed provocatively. So he knew what was coming, so he attempted to avoid, and he even tried to put physical barriers in between. But of course, she continued her advancement. So it's in this moment that it kind of like registered. He's very uncomfortable with her advancement. She's going to continue to advance no matter what he physically does or says. And then my mind like clicked, like, how far is this going to go? And then what is he going to put up with? That's kind of everything that kind of was registering in my mind as I was listening to this, and then kind of glanced at it earlier today after I heard it. So then there's this level of, I mean, at this point in the book, kind of like, haha, he's kind of getting the advancement that he gave.
Right. Yeah, initially
And
that's what I was thinking. Okay, now you see the other side of the coin, buddy.
Exactly.
Sort of thing.
Except there's a bit when Matt thinks, like, you know, he, like, this is what he would normally do, but then he thinks he has the, like, I forgot the exact wording that he used, but it's like he would have the forethought to only pursue a woman if she wanted him to. Like, if they didn't want him to, he would stop. Like,
and any sign that it was clear they didn't want the pursuit, he would just either move on or you know, back off or go back to his dice or drinking or whatever. And
I actually had a question for Dana.
Yes.
So do you think that Robert Jordan, when he wrote this scene, so are you saying like it's like he understood in his mind when he was writing the scene that, and again, I'm asking if this is what you think, because I just based off what you said, this is what I thought, that he kind of understood what was happening was like not right, and the way he wrote Matt was as if someone like how they would respond. Because I always okay. I read it as he was. The opposite. Like, I read this as he was writing this as like kind of like wish fulfillment fantasy that he might have. You know, based off of some of the stuff that might happen later, though, not these three.
No. I think that, and I wanted to get into with Ian and Chris why they think Robert Jordan wrote it, and why he wrote this, why even write it, you know, and why write it that a man is in this situation instead of a woman, why Matt and all this other stuff, and why have the people reacting the way they are. And there's all different questions you can get into, but I will say that with Matt, you always have him doing one thing, saying a second thing, and thinking a third thing. And so you need to kind of always keep that. And I will say that oftentimes someone who's in a situation that's not even like actively registering, but you're having thoughts and you're having reactions, and you're like, I went back and looked, and he was already uncomfortable at his first meeting with Tylen.
Yep. She advanced across the red-green floor tiles, layered blue and white silk petticoats swishing, large dark eyes fixed on him. So he's giving this vision of predatory advancement. He had no desire at all to look at the marriage knife nestled in her generous cleavage. Now, in that line, there's like a contradiction in the sense that it's like, okay, is he saying generous cleavage because he realizes that they are large, or because at one point in his mind there was a moment where he considered, and then he goes further on to say, or the large gem-studded dagger thrusted behind, and equally gem-studded belt. He backed away. So it is showing the power that she has in this moment. You know, we know that Ebudari individuals are quick to draw their knives and to use them. She has the tools, making her, you know, a capable predator in this moment. And I'm using that term because it is what it is. And he's at the disadvantage here. So, you know, listening to it and reading it, I did have that sensation, like, you know, my mind didn't go to where it actually ended, but it was like, could, you know, we had that idea that maybe she was a dark friend, and then here she is making advances on him. They're alone, she's got 2 daggers, you know, the dice were rolling. Like, is she about to attack? And was my thought.
Wow.
And I'm in my mind, it was just like that physical and the literal attempt to take his life was the type of attack that I was thinking about. So it's very interesting to
like literally at knife point.
Continue. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Alan.
I'll say I'm gonna jump in. Alan, you could take a nap again.
Okay.
So to what you were saying, Tom, like as we started getting into these sections here of like our very aggressive advances, and what you get that Matt's thinking and saying out loud, I had a moment where I was like, okay, is he really put off, like, and doesn't want this to happen, or is it some of his thoughts are how normally he's the one pursuing and maybe he just doesn't like being pursued like this. So like I debated on it a little bit, but then Chris said something earlier, something to the point of like, how much is he going to put up with? And I was thinking that as well, but then I was getting worried and I was like, all right, well, Matt's promise to the girls that he's there to help, and he knows that this relationship with the queen is like super important, so he knows he can't fuck up this relationship,
which
so
the queen knows too.
Yeah, and he says that out. He says that to himself.
Yep. So how much is he going to put up with? All of it, everything. That doesn't mean he wants it, and it's jumping forward a little bit, but just to really answer your question, Tom, despite everything he thinks that we're reading that he's thinking and what he says out loud, when the deed is done, he sat there and wept. And the emotions that you might be trying to bury, that you might be trying to ignore, that you might try to pretend you're still in control, that this didn't happen to you, it crept up on him in the moment. And those weren't tears of joy. And Matt's not the kind of character to, I mean, I guess if something happened to one of his sisters, I could see him crying, but
I mean, he hasn't cried yet.
Right. So that kind of, Jordan wrote that in there, and he didn't say, well, this is what happened, and that's how Matt felt, and it wasn't crystal clear, black and white. I think he wrote enough in there to show.
And I wanted to back up.
Chapter.
And I wanted to back up, beep, back up to, I stole Chris's thing, to chapter 22, Small Sacrifices, this is when they're getting their promise from Matt that he will move in. And they're, saying, hey, we all have to make small sacrifices. And he says, sacrifices, he snarled. If I asked you to make the same, you'd box every ear in sight and pull the roof down on my head. So he already knows that it is a sacrifice for him to have to move in under her power. And he gave a promise with a bleak, resentful grimace.
Yeah.
When he gave his promise. And so like, way back then, he already knew that she was going to be making advancements on him.
Yeah.
And at some point later, he does talk about her power. And so that's one of the things we kind of, touched on a little bit is power dynamics. And back when this was being written in the 90s, it was more about, at that point, starting to come out and be talked about a little bit about, like, say, women with male bosses. And, if you want to advance, if you want, you have to put up with,
the quid pro quo and
sexual advances. You give a little, I give a little, all that stuff. And so here she is in power. Women are in power in a lot of ways in Abu Dhar. And so he's dealing with all of that. And he promised Rand that he would keep them safe and bring Elaine back. So he's made promise to Rand. Now he's promised them. He's made promises, and he does not break his promises.
Yeah,
and it's a multi-level. It's like a multi-level power dynamic with the queen too, because like it's not just that the women are in more, like, in all of Randland, the women are like a higher standing than men, because men destroyed the world with the madness and all that. But specifically in Abu Dhar, like women can kill men. With just like, their word, like, that they deserved it. And so there's that, but then there's also, she's the queen. She's literally a monarch. Like, forget about the whole relationship thing, just the fact that she's a queen. So
Mhm.
there's like so much layers of power dynamic, like leverage that she is absolutely knows that she's
Right.
abusing.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay,
She laid
I'm done.
She laid a hand flat on his chest, back heeled him into a high back chair, and plumped herself down on his lap. Between her and the chair arms, he was trapped. He could have picked her up and set her on the floor on her feet, except that she had that bloody big dagger in her belt, and he doubted his manhandling her would be acceptable to her, as her manhandling him seemed to be. So, in going to that point, it says a woman could have killed a man and is justified until proven otherwise. And
Right.
there's the side to this, and it's got to be brought to light that Matt has a reputation for making his way around, pretty women.
Mhm.
And so there would be no way to justifiably say that he didn't, appreciate
Oh, sure.
in some way the
No,
advances.
but people don't believe it.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, she had no doubt in her mind, especially being queen, but she had no doubt in her mind she could do everything she's about to do. She has absolutely nothing to worry about. Nothing's going to fall back on her. Matt's going to have to put up with it, deal with it. There was, no hesitation on her part.
Right.
And I mean, the current situation, like, so she sits him down, he starts to plead, he makes excuses why she shouldn't, and then she just starts kissing him and kissing him and kissing him. And so, like, when I was a younger kid, a much smaller person, I was held down by two girls, and while another girl kissed me. Super uncomfortable, highly awkward, was not appreciated. I cared for them as people did not care for them in that way, did not want to be involved in that. So, but there was first off, again, I was a smaller boy. There was three of them and they were older. So they had the literal physical power over me. And then the aspect of having three girls hold you down, that makes you feel bad about it. And then to say something would essentially demasculate you further.
Oh, yeah. After the fact, who are you going to tell?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like,
who you going to send your
after that
complaint
moment,
to?
nobody. After that moment, you have to, like, accept that it happened and then kind of play it to your advantage. Like, yeah, we kissed. That was
right.
The end
Retell
of
the
it,
story where you're not the victim, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was gonna. Oh, sorry. I was gonna say to Dana earlier that there were two of us in here, but apparently there's three of us also that are survivors. Because I also,
not to that extent,
as a man who you wouldn't normally, I mean,
Right.
I don't think I've ever. I don't think have you been to Jordan Con before, Chris? Or I don't
They
know.
went
This
If
is
we've met.
last year. That was it.
No, we have.
Yeah.
No, we
Okay,
have.
all right. I usually at Jordan Con, I'm so busy, like I don't remember like half the
I
shit.
barely
No,
had
I
a chance to
understandably.
talk to you.
We were all there.
I wasn't sure if I just wasn't sure if we met. But
I don't think we met.
we're not small people.
No.
But like, when we talk about stuff like being bullied or if we were sexually assaulted, which I was as well, it's usually not believed, or it's always given a different
because
air.
you're a man.
Yeah.
Correct.
And I'm 6'2", 280 pounds now. So it's like,
Yeah.
really?
Who's going to make you do
Really?
anything you
Yeah.
don't want to do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, we'll let Alan continue in a second, but being in the position with my ex-fiance, who you talked about early on in this podcast, like, there were moments where we were living together, but we were not together, where she would make advances on me and then make a statement like, "Oh, I didn't really want that." So it's like, what does that mean? So, like, then after I stopped engaging with her and she continued to push, it was like, I'm not in a good spot because all she has to do is come out of her mouth the wrong way and I'm the one in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, the people would believe that. Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us, because I know that's not easy.
Mind you, I have a reputation back home, and people would definitely look at her sideways. There's still that moment of hesitation that everyone has, like, and that right there is enough to destroy a person.
Yeah.
And I think the last bit before Alan gets us moving along with the story. Chris does this to me all the time, Zuul, and you just did, even though I read it a couple times and listened to it, adding that perspective of Matt didn't go into this blind. Just about everything we talked about, Matt was aware of going into this and was part of his decision making. And I'm not saying he let this happen, but that he knew something like this could happen, or there was a strong chance of it happening, and he still moved forward for the promises that he made. That's a wrinkle I didn't consider.
Yeah.
And that's
And
I
then
don't know if
it
that makes it
continues.
worse or
And then it
better, or just-
continues like after this first event and the second event, like where he's, where you keep looking at what it says about, well, I can't really move out because she could block me from every inn in the city.
Mhm.
And, all his sneaking around that he does. And like, he,
She doesn't feed him. She tells the cooks not to feed him.
Yeah.
yeah.
All these
I,
different things. Yeah.
I mean, hence the dice stopped
and
rolling.
he still keeps going back.
He has he is
So
He's
he
locked
knows
in
it's
now.
going
his
to happen
path
again.
right now.
Yeah.
And that's
Mhm.
that's the whole like like victim like terror that gives you intrusive thoughts is like knowing it's going to happen again, and yet he still is keeping his promise and going back. I mean, it is, if you look at it through that lens, it is horrible.
That's a whole
Mhm.
nother
And
level.
then being not believed, like you said, not.
Well, I mean,
everybody
even
thinks,
Tom walks in and he's like, "Oh man, the queen!" And I mean,
yeah,
Yeah.
Way to go,
I mean,
Matt. Nudge,
way
nudge.
to go, Matt.
Yeah.
Like
that's
Uh,
horrible.
Mm.
Yeah.
even Julian was like, like he was like, like you could tell he was like, I don't know about that. Matt was like, nope, nope, don't even.
I'd be interested.
Move
I'd be
on.
interested in coming back after you guys finish this book to see if you still think that Robert Jordan wrote this in a I don't want to say positive, but in a like in a good light. Like where he's like treating the victim correctly. After you finish this book, I'd be curious.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
and I mean, not to justify, but of the times,
Yeah.
if you go back to the '90s, anyone who grew up in the '90s or in the '80s and knew this type of how I
And
would
he
put
grew
it.
up in the '60s.
Look
Right,
at
right,
Steve
and that's I'm
Urkel.
gonna get to that, but
I
making
know, I get
comedy,
it.
making comedy out of these situations, like look at Looney Tunes, like Pepe Le Pew, and those guys. Like, it was
Yeah.
very much
Oh,
a
yeah.
comedic thing of that
Yeah.
time that they would make cartoons about, like
Yep.
basically a skunk trying to rape
I
a
mean,
cat.
it's all over.
That's how I took
that's,
it.
that's the whole cartoon. I mean, it's supposed to be
Yeah,
funny.
Right.
especially
yeah.
when he was chasing him. Like it literally felt like a Pepe Le Pew bit when he was
Right.
when she was chasing him around the table. Like that's like a comedic bit. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
Right.
feels
And that's-
dirty. It just feels dirty.
Yeah.
It was on all the sitcoms in the '90s. It really
Yeah.
was a common theme.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
why it was a little more uncomfortable, but a little more confusing when I first read it. But after having experienced it and then
Mhm.
being able to feel what's in Matt's head and like pick up on every little thought that he has about it, even when he's in completely other places, it reads completely differently.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So Tom and Julian show up. They're in the middle of all this, and Tylen's off like a cat on a hot tin roof, as fast as possible. She jumps off of Matt's lap. It looks like she hasn't even been disturbed at all. Nothing's happened. Meanwhile, Matt's pants are like around his ankles.
All right, so
Yeah.
this is almost kind of funny. Like I picture Matt standing up, his pants going
Pants
to the
falling
floor, and just
Yeah.
being like,
What the hell?
nothing's going on here.
On here.
Like,
Yep.
not funny, but I mean,
Not fun. Yeah, not fun. But yeah, but
she
yeah.
that's the other
It
thing.
was
She
funny.
manages to
At this
undo
moment,
his
it was
pants. Yeah, I mean, without him knowing, like
yeah,
she's done this before. Like this isn't like the first
Right.
time she's done.
right, skillfully.
Yeah. But yeah, Julian and Tom come in. They tell Matt that the girls are outside the palace. They need to talk. So Matt gets an out. So he's able, Tylen.
He's also nervous hangover at this point too. I forgot at the beginning of the
Yeah.
chapter. He
Oh, yeah,
references
he's
it
way
still has a
hungover.
hangover from the night before.
Yeah, he's still
Yep.
recovering.
Yep.
Hmm.
So we can move to the next scene unless you guys want to continue on this because there's plenty more to talk about. when
Yeah,
we go back again.
We'll get back in it.
Yeah. So,
I mean, just last statement. There's a difference in being an ally versus somebody who's been in it and been through it.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean that's what you really have to think about when you're looking at any situation. You got to realize your lens, and again, it's another thing to, like I said, be an ally, and it's another thing to have lived it and gone through it too. So go ahead.
Sure. Yep. So Matt leaves the palace, goes back to the inn to check on Oliver and his men. Oliver, not Oliver, Oliver and his men.
Every time I do it.
He's
every
been
time.
Oliver.
Yeah,
He's been an Oliver in my mind the whole time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I say Oliver with like an O to make me not say Oliver.
Yeah. And Oliver is trying to look at all the pretty women at the inn. So it goes to that whole thing where, he wants to just walk and have tea with some of these ladies.
Are they at the inn, or is this his new place, his new room in the palace?
No. This is when Matt gathers Oliver back to the palace. So they go to the inn first, and he's in there, and all the women are in the inn. The innkeeper's there. It's at the outside the tavern called the Rose of Elbar. Yeah. So he's back at the inn.
Yeah.
And then he moves Oliver to the palace, so she won't.
That's his plan.
That's his plan.
Mm-hmm.
Well, clearly she won't do anything if I have him by me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then she enlists the help of an accomplice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. And he also notices that none of the girls are paying any attention to him anymore. And he says, I'm sure it's because Tylen's told them all not to pay attention to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they
He's
finally
been
get
claimed.
to. Yeah. Yeah. So, and then Elaine and Nynaeve show up. Tom and Julian have been going to watch the Kin's house, but nothing's happened there at all. Just a little bit of updates. And that's when Matt then returns to his room and brings Oliver with him. And that's when he finds the note that Tylen's left him. So, it says, "My little rabbit, I expect you at dinner tonight in my apartments."
I mean, more happened before that. There's still the conversation.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
We got to take a step back because there's some great back and forth going on with Elaine and Matt. Essentially,
Sure.
He's like, again, you guys are already like trying to break our agreement, which would have given him an out, but again, he's already felt trapped in this moment. So he's like, I have a potential out, but what good is it going to do me? And so they're like, well, we had tea with some women that your innkeeper knows. We won't bore you with the talk of needlework. And Matt's like, oh, please don't bore me. And then he says, you know what? I'm putting 2 guards on each of you day in, day out, like these bodyguards, period. And then they're like, well, yeah, great notion. Smart on you,
That's
Matt.
a good idea.
But he's like,
we agree.
Completely floored. He's just doesn't understand exactly what's going on this whole time. They're just trying to fulfill their toe. So,
Tom's so startled he drops his knife, and Tom does not fumble his knife.
Not only that, he
himself.
cuts himself. Yeah.
Yes!
Like Tom's like, oh my God, like this is actually working.
Yeah.
So is it just them trying to fulfill their toe, or is it a combination of what just happened to them and them realizing, okay, maybe it's not a bad idea to have some assistance here?
Oh, yeah.
Column A, a little from column B.
Right.
Yeah. And they're like, and we're definitely not telling him what just happened.
Right.
No.
The fact that they're trying to hide it is there's some shame there, and they know they stepped in some dog poo.
Yeah.
And Matt's looking at them like, I knew they would be trouble. This is weird.
Right.
They're up to something. Like he's cottoned on to them.
Right. If he doubted his decisions before, he's going to double down now. He's like, oh, most definitely.
And so at this point,
you need
like,
some chaperones.
We need you to make sure you're sitting like there outside of that house being Taviran the whole time. Like he's like, I am Taviran. Well, we know, but we need you to be Taviran. Turn it
on.
Like do
the handle. Unplug it and plug it back in again.
That's right. There's that moment of like comedic relief that Jordan kind of throws in there because he's building you up for something. And as I'm reading, as a reader, again, I have taken a couple of different perspectives from this. I'm like, she threatens his life. He avoids Ika's time and Julian walk in. Like something crazy is about to happen between them, but maybe something crazy in general is about to happen. Oh, here's Elaine. She's having him sit outside the house, telling him to be Taviran. The women are walking in and out. He's starting to see a pattern. He's about to find the bull. Like, that's my thought.
Okay. So you mentioned the bull,
Yeah.
and I thought it was interesting that Tom, they're sitting outside the house, I think, when Tom says, what interests me is why they asked, he's talking about Nynaeve and Elaine, why they asked so many questions about your innkeeper.
Right.
He did not seem very upset at the women still keeping secrets. Sometimes he was definitely odd. Okay. What do Satala Anan and these women have to do with the bowl?
Right. Well, it's obvious they're leaving stuff out of their story because they have this singular mission. They're very interested in these people, but there's no explanation as to why other than, we've been sitting around chatting and knitting. Well, clearly there's more to it than that.
Yeah.
Right?
And so Tom's like, there's some connecting tissue here that we're missing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I mean, Tom plays the game. He's been around royalty for a very long time. Like, Tom understands there's completely something being missed. And Matt's just kind of frustrated in general with his entire life situation at the moment. You got Julian who's there along for the ride, and then just the random people following Matt somewhat blindly, the red hand.
Yeah.
So,
and how about this, Chris? We're talking about him being Taviran, and I guess at least for a while, and trying to figure out what it means to be Taviran, I was thinking kind of like what you were expecting. Okay, all this stuff's building up, so something crazy is going to happen that maybe helps Matt get out of that situation with the queen, and then they find the bowl, and there's a battle, and da 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 da. And I think I thought the Taviranness was like it was always going to pull in your favor.
Oh yeah,
but he's Taviran, and probably one of the worst things that could happen to a person is unfolding, and he's watching unfold, and
but again,
clearly his desire is for it not to happen, and he can't get away from it.
You're seeing this too from that perspective of the omnipotent reader. Like you've already what's happening. If you were to take yourself back to that moment when you were first reading this, at least in me, everything was pointing towards he's about to find the bowl.
Sure. I don't disagree. I guess I'm jumping a little bit forward, realizing that he didn't, and something horrible happens. Like, where does the Taviran come into play here? Or is this going to be one of these big 3 books from now we realize, well, this is something that just had to happen to Matt to change his character, to change like the way he operates, that turns into something else that really has to happen?
I mean, next chapter we can
That'll
talk
suck.
about the Taviran happening.
Yeah. I liked your take of is she a dark friend? Because like that would be a perfect opportunity.
Too, yeah.
Yeah.
But in the same vein, I kind of like that she's not a dark friend because like that's why I like. Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, I mean, like it wasn't in that moment yet. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Like she didn't try to kill him right then. So, like that's why I like the White Cloaks. Like I hate them, but like they're a human evil. Like this is a human, real world evil, not a
little more predictable.
Because we had this thing happen. We had that scene, and then as a reader, as a listener, I let it go. I was just like, it happened. And that's what most people would do. He got hit on. She advanced on him. I let it happen.
Up until this point, yes, I was thinking the same.
Yeah.
And so like, and as I'm thinking about this for the sake of first time readership, this would have been a good moment, Alan, to have broken this down into like chapter, doing live readings or something, because it's hard not to want to go right to where we were. But in this moment right here, all I'm seeing is Tom is piecing together the fact that the innkeeper, this group of women in the bowl have something to do with each other. I'm seeing that Matt is clearly unhappy with his situation, but we're waiting on something to veer and to happen.
Right.
And, at the same time, we get to this point, like Alan brought up, where he gets a note about My Little Rabbit. Expect to have you for dinner tonight in my apartments. I'm like, this chick's dirty. Like, or because there was a second part, maybe she helps him. Maybe it's like, I'm gonna have this little play with you, but I'm also gonna help you. Like, based on how Jordan has written up until this point, there's only been moments of like maliciousness in his writing, part of which was Egwene being enslaved and then treated as thus. And then Mogadine, even though we don't commiserate with her, and though she was treated better, she was still enslaved.
Yeah.
She was
More
held
gays.
against her will, more gays, being enslaved, and then she was raped, based on our assumption of the read. But because of the people that they are, like, we felt horrible for Egwene. We didn't feel that way for Mogadine or Moghedien, however you pronounce it. But
Mogadine, not Mogadine.
And then we get more gays, but we haven't really built her as a character that we really cared about that much. Our only real big investment is the fact that she's Elaine's mom. So we see these things happening, but did we do a deep dive in it? We did with Egwene, but not for these other two characters. Did we show any empathy? Not so much. But
it's hard to show empathy for the Forsaken. But yeah, I get your point.
Well, Asmodean, when he got taken out, I think we all cried a little.
Yeah, we definitely did. Like, I still feel
that's
but why
that's
is it
funny
different?
too. Because they're hard. Well, here. Do you feel sympathy for like Hitler? Because that's what the Forsaken are.
Right.
The Forsaken are, Asmodean used to cut the thumbs off of all of the artists in the cities that he took over. Not just the musicians, artists, painters, singers, sculptors.
Hey, when you put it that way, I mean,
they're horrible people. Horrible.
And so, but you look at Matt, who's been he's faluting like all the way across all of these towns, and he's had many women in his bed, and like he hasn't wived any of them. He's had his way, and he's left. He's probably paid them a few coin, or flirted enough to where they felt important. But then at the end of the day, I'm out.
What we haven't seen though is any like mad people chasing him. You know what I mean? It's all of the serving women and stuff like that seem to want his advances. It's never been like, someone's chasing him or they're sad or they're like, you promised you were going to marry me.
It's portrayed as mutual.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a safe assumption.
Which is nice to see, like a casual relationship with how puritanical some of the shit is in his writing. Like just the way sex is portrayed in the Two Rivers and how it's like, they very like not before marriage and blah 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 blah.
Yeah, Matt's our one character from the Two Rivers who, like he openly had a sexual relationship with Melindra, and as we've gone on, he's been, he's not hiding it.
Promiscuous boy.
Yeah. So is
that going to be your song for the what is it? The What Idol, Real Time Idol?
Yeah. There you go.
Up until this point, before reading further, this kind of like tweaked a little bit in the back of my mind, but I was like, Matt can handle it.
Yeah, I mean, you think maybe, he's a fighter. He can handle himself.
Yeah.
Up until this point. And he locks his room, and he puts a chair under Naram's door because he has an adjoining room with his manservant. And he's like, okay, I got this. She's not going to climb down from a rope, onto my balcony, and she's not going to get a ladder and come up. I got this. We're good. And then he moves the kid in the next morning and he thinks, I'm good. I'm golden. You know.
Yeah.
I have the best wife in the world. She literally went and got pie.
Pie.
Yes.
My God. She just literally just came in and handed me pie. I love
She
you.
wins.
That's so awesome.
Your wife wins.
She does. Everyone loves you too.
Yeah.
We
Thank
love her.
you.
We love her 3.14 times.
Oh my God, this is
Yeah.
amazing.
Yes, we do.
3.1
So,
times. Yeah.
you know, and then even 90 kind of gets on it, and Elaine, they're like,
Oh my
look, do
God.
us a favor. We realize that, like, you don't want to have dinner with the queen.
Take
but
one
we're
for the
sure you'll
team.
enjoy a night. Take one for, yeah, like, take one for the team.
Mhm.
Like,
He's
don't
like-
offend her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Hey, and don't try any of your stuff on with her.
Yeah.
Oh,
'cause it's
yeah.
gonna be
They
all
have
her
it
fault.
totally ass backwards.
right. Yeah.
She's a decent woman.
Mhm.
On a completely unrelated side note, I would love to just like watch like one of those like procedural TV shows of just like the adventures of Tom and Julian, like
Oh, yeah.
solving
Yes.
crimes, like Batman and MacGyver, essentially. Julian Sandar is Batman, and Tom is like MacGyver, essentially.
Yeah.
Yep. And because it's so funny, they'll go off and then we don't really know what they're doing, but then they come back and they have all
Beat
this information.
up.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're scuffed up and bruised up
Yeah.
and everything. And you know they operate differently. So it's
Yes, they
like,
do.
and they have a competition between each other. So
Yes.
it's like it'd be hilarious. They're both stumbling through.
So it's
town
more
in
like
wildly different
Sherlock
ways.
Holmes and Watson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
listen, but
be
Julian
great.
Sandar literally jumps around rooftops like Batman.
Yeah.
Like
Very
into
true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he does.
Yeah.
And I
don't-
also sorry, I have to say his name because I've been thinking of it since Julian's name came up. My dream fan casting for Julian Sandar is Idris Elba.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
I
well,
would die.
I don't know if you listen to our podcast, but he's one of
I
my
do.
most favorite male actors alive and still acting right now.
I have a T-shirt that says my ideal weight is Idris Elba on top of me.
I would wear
Gotta
that.
have it.
I'd wear that proudly.
I had to have it made because the only ones that we could, like, I ordered it from like T-shirt whatever website, because all the ones that they sell are like the women cut with like the cinched middle and like the
Yeah.
V-neck. So like,
Do you have it in guy cuts? Like, that's-
yeah. Every time I go
I
to
need a
Disney, I'm
man
like, why
cut.
do all the female Disney villains have to come in female cut shirts? Like, why can't we have a man cut shirt with Ursula on it? That's what I want.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Mm.
Sorry.
Dave
I
entire
rant.
I would rock
videos.
Princess Jasmine, by the way. I mean the shirt. I would wreck the shirt.
That's
I'm sorry, I didn't mean for that to come out wrong. No, don't play the giggity. That's not what I meant.
thank you for playing that giggity. I was really hoping it would come in.
The shirt. Okay, I'm gonna mute myself for a while.
All
Sorry,
right.
guys.
So like I said, Matt gets the note. She tries the door's locked. She starts laughing outside his door. Next morning, Oliver moves in.
Mhm.
All that good stuff. Next 2 days, he spends outside looking at the Kent's house. And this is when he has a little note with Brigitte. And is this the chapter? I don't have my notes. That's why I can't remember. Is this when he plays Snakes and Fox? Or is that next chapter with
That's
Fox?
next chapter.
Next chapter. Okay. Yeah. Okay. We're
I
getting
think
there.
it's next.
Yep.
Yeah.
Did you guys notice that multiple times he keeps mentioning this old man?
Oh yeah.
There's an old man that keeps showing up, and he's like,
Mhm.
"Who is that guy? Nobody
It's the
knows
same
who he
white-haired
is."
old man that he hung out with.
Yeah,
before.
there's a white-haired old man. He keeps mentioning this guy, and I want you guys to be thinking about whatever you think about who this white-haired old man might be. I mean, you might not know now, but maybe you'll be noticing him
Right.
from now on.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely noticed the mention, but my mind hasn't even wandered into who it might be. I've got nothing.
Yeah.
We said something way back when it
Stan Lee.
first popped up, but I can't remember.
Stan
That's what
Lee,
we said. We
yes.
said Stan Lee
Yeah,
for sure, but I don't know who else we said.
Captain
it could be.
America?
I
is
guess-
it the Watcher?
No, that's who Stan Lee
That's what we
was.
said. The watch.
That's who
Stan
Stan Lee was supposed to be in the Marvel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Supposed to be old Captain America.
Okay. Cool. So yeah, this is also around the time when Tylen gives the cooks the orders not to give him any food because he's not showing up anymore. And eventually he'll show up and have dinner with her if she doesn't have any food to get hungry enough. Leave some more notes, all this good stuff. So talk about more advances. I mean, at this point, she's laying on thick, even thicker. She's just trying every angle and manipulating in like a really crappy way. Like,
Yeah.
As
Not
opposed to
being-
that good manipulation.
I mean, that's not just as good. You know what I mean?
Right. I know. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Like, just like, yeah, just yuck.
Yeah.
I mean, and he's like sneaking through the hallways, like, and he's like, and he thinks to himself, it's not as if I think she's actually going to like, leap on me in the hallway in broad daylight, but obviously he
He
thinks
still
she
feels
might
that way.
leap on him in the hallway in broad
Yeah.
daylight. That's why he's sneaking around,
Yeah.
like
and
trying
this,
to like sneak
and
out the
this
stable.
is so not Matt. the way
Yeah,
he's operating.
Not at
exactly.
all.
Like
Yeah.
way out of character. So, and it goes back to what you were saying that I didn't even consider. Like all through this process, he's very fearful of it.
Yeah.
And it shows, even in these actions right now. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But then we get this nice balance of him going out with like Brigitte going with him, and how she's like pointing out to him like, hey, don't stare at that one. She's a widow and she's up for a husband. And because he noticed she's like, hey, what about this one over here? And
Yeah.
and he's like pointing out like the ugliest guys he can find.
That apparently she likes.
She likes, yeah.
He's like, no way she'll like that one. How about that dude over there? And she's like, oh, yeah.
Oh, he's got a nice turned calf.
Yeah.
Right.
No, he's not ugly enough. Like he needs more scars or whatever.
Yeah, if we could just take one of his eyes out and put an eye patch on it, would be
There
good.
you
Yeah.
go.
Perfect.
Yeah. So it's an interesting balance that he's showing there, where he's
Mhm.
giving us a relationship with a woman that he's like, it's nice to be able to, yes, I like women to like, look at, and I appreciate, and yes, he comes off as misogynistic and all this other stuff, lots of times, because he'll talk about their shapes and their bodies and all this other stuff. And he thinks about it in his head all the time. But he very clearly says, if they ever say they're not interested, I'm,
Right.
why would I want to be with, I can be with somebody else. I don't need to be with somebody who's not
Right.
interested.
Yeah.
And he said, it's almost as fun to pick out which one to chase as it is to actually chase them,
Right.
and so him sitting there with a woman and being able to like, be like, hey, I see that you appreciate this about men, and you see that I appreciate that about women. And it's like a really wholesome thing. And I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has like a thought where I don't remember the exact words, where he's like, I haven't even tried to kiss her yet, or I haven't even wanted to kiss her yet, or
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
When they've been sitting next to each other, and he's just like,
Yeah. He's like, I've been sitting here with my thigh up next to her all day and never, I want to
Didn't even
kiss
that's what
her.
it
as
was. Our
much-
thighs, our thighs were touching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rubbing thighs.
Yeah, I want to.
Mm.
I want to kiss her just as much as I want to kiss Nelisian or whatever, however you say his name.
Yeah.
So that kind of like discredits the whole like maybe he's like her, because I know we said maybe it could be him, maybe it could be a little boy that's her lover reincarnate. So
Oh, Gatel Kane?
I still think
Yeah.
it's the what's the boy's name?
Oliver?
Oliver.
Oliver.
I
I still
don't
think it's
think so.
Oliver. I'm convinced of it. Anyways, y'all made me think.
Sure.
I know we're all except for Zuul, the rest of us are getting older. But do you remember like the like middle school or high school, whenever you first started dating, and like you do the stereotypical let's go watch a movie,
college.
and the whole time you're not really watching the movie, you're sitting there thinking, all right, would it be okay to hold her hand now? Do I do the fake yawn thing? And like, how do I, let me just kind of move around a little bit, like I'm adjusting the popcorn, and then be a little bit closer. And then just your arm touches her.
Yeah.
And you're like, we're touching in your mind. You're like, oh my gosh.
And you're like waiting for the reaction. You're like,
Right. Do I feel a little pressure back? Is there a little
Yeah.
more?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Can I go for the,
What?
like, and you don't hold hands at first. It's just pinkies first. You're like, I'm just going to slowly see if this is okay. Oh, she's okay with it. Yay. Yes.
the original.
Literally, I was in high school and I was dating a girl, and it might have been you, Ian, or it might have been Brian.
No, I was
Wilson, one of
not the
our
girl you were dating.
No, but I was in
My-
the front
my
seat with the girl I
drag-
was dating, and and we did the whole entire like the same thing you're saying, like barely like touching our hands, and like someone from the back seat, it was either you or Brian. One of our
yeah.
friends in the back seat, like
Just hold
literally
her hand.
reached up and grabbed both of our hands and like But just hold hands, idiots. Like
It was either Brian Wilson or Brian Horning. It was one of the Bryans.
Yeah, they reached
I do
over and
remember
grabbed both of our hands and put them together, and like,
Yeah, this is getting
funny.
awkward for us. Just
Fuck
do it
the rest
so
of
we
the
can
back
focus
seat.
on the
Just-
movie.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Anyway,
There's a guy on TikTok that walks around Manhattan, like, and he sees like people like talking, or like, he picks out couples, and like as he walks by, he grabs the dude's arm and like puts it around the girl's waist, or like puts it, and like it's probably staged, because then the girl, every single time the girl's like, oh my God, and then they're so happy. But
yeah.
there's a whole TikTok thread
Yeah.
of that guy doing that like thousands of times.
If you're good at reading body language, if you choose poorly and they're like breaking up, or it's after like, somebody passed away, or just
That's the
something
best
really
time to do it.
horrible. Well, depending on the person you are, but
Mhm.
you could do that in some really bad
They're
situations.
always cold. It's weird. Like,
Yeah.
oh, that's not what you meant. Oh, okay.
So yeah, at this point, I think the more notes come. One slips under his door, and begins to think that, it might actually turn out for the better with him actually being able to dodge her enough. And the next morning is the Festival of Birds, so let's get ready for that. And he awakens to dice rolling his head again.
Sorry, I was doing my bird festival salute.
Welcome
No,
to
no,
the
I
Bird
went. You weren't
Festival.
looking, Alan. I was.
Oh,
Yeah. Welcome to the festival, guys. Sorry.
I still think we should do it for Jordan Con. Zuul.
Okay, well, I missed. What should you do for Jordan Con?
The elevator roulette.
Oh, my
yeah.
gosh. Oh, please don't.
Please don't. Yeah, people get so mad.
Please
I
don't.
can make whole TikToks out of it. If people playing elevator roulette, where you get in the elevator and you hit a random button and you just flick off and see if anybody's on the other side when it opens up.
I'll do it. I don't care. I don't work for Jordan Con anymore. I'll do it.
Yeah, there you go. Zuul said people get so
Can't get
mad
in
that
trouble.
elevators are so backed up. Like,
Oh yeah.
I mean, now I have a wheel of time excuse. I could say I'm celebrating the Festival of Birds.
There you go.
yeah, there
And-
you go.
You need a masquerade mask though.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, that's easy to make.
I got some.
See, if you had a bird mask, you
I
could
got-
definitely do it.
I
Festival
got
of
some
Birds.
just sitting around. Just
Bet.
Yeah,
Bet.
Yeah.
I might actually have some.
In this section,
Does that work?
where we kind of get like part of the cycle of Matt watching the women coming in and out of that palace or that house or whatever. And at one point he's talking to Elaine, and Elaine is like, forgive me, Matt, I humbly beg your pardon for speaking to you in this way. So what do you kind of think of her and this whole like thing with Avienda and the toe and all of that, and her really trying? What do you think about their relationship and how she's really you have any idea? You have any thoughts about that?
I had two trains of thought. I don't believe in either of them, but they just popped in my head. One, the way they do the winky face at each other as she's going about this
Yeah.
toe thing. It's
Even Matt's over it.
yeah, I mean, Matt sees that it's a little awkward. He's like, all right, she's not even like looking at me as she apologizes, really. She's looking for approval from Avienda, but Avienda gives it with the head nod and da-da. Like, is there something brewing between Elaine and Avienda? And no, this is not just the guy, me being a guy, hoping that these two, yeah, giggity. And maybe that's part of it. It's part of my psyche. Okay.
All right.
Maybe. But it feels that way a little bit. And then another train of thought I had that's related but not related is I feel like if Avienda was teaching Elaine about toe the same way Egwene was being taught about toe, then Matt would have already whipped Elaine. But that's not happening. It feels more like Elaine's toe
No giggity
is
there. Really?
going through the process of
Wrong one.
There it is.
But see, here's the
It's
thing.
it's
with
more
toe,
that she's
you
trying
choose-
to relieve her toe through Avienda and not through Matt. She's looking
There's
for
a whole
Avienda's
nother reason,
approval
we
and
know
not
that.
Matt's
Of
forgiveness.
course, because
Yes.
Avienda's her sister.
Yeah, but still, like, I feel like that's disingenuous to the entire
It is very
G2 system.
disingenuous.
Right, that's what I'm
Agreed.
getting at.
Well, which
but-
is odd that Avienda is okay with it.
I was just about to say, you would think
Bingo.
Avienda would be frustrated by it because it is a mockery of Giotto. because you shouldn't be looking for somebody. But then again, she's looking for clarity that what she's doing is right, not that she's overcoming her toe.
But Avienda is also trying to come to terms with her love for Rand and Elaine being part of it. So I think that's a distraction for her ability to teach Toe properly to Elaine.
It's especially poignant because the Aiel are heavily based on the Jewish tribes out of Israel, and like the Jewish I forgot what it's like when you're supposed to do like work for somebody else, like help other people, but you're
mitzvah. Your mitzvah.
So, it's never supposed to be celebrated. You're not supposed to be seeking recognition for it. It's always like
you don't do it for the pat on the back.
Yeah, you're especially actually supposed to make sure that you almost don't get any recognition for it. Like that's the point.
It'd be worse if you do.
Which is how they label when you seek toe through hand. I can't say it without seeing the sandal in my head now. I can't say ever in my life. Ever since I first saw that GIF, every single time. Anyway, it's especially like there it is. It's just, but because it's it's heavily based on that, like that's the way it's supposed to be. Like it's supposed to be like you're doing it for like whatever your toe is, it's for that person. Like you're supposed to be doing it for them, not for yourself.
And not for Avienda, right? It's
especially not for somebody else, a third party. Like that would be
and I think she is trying to be teachable.
Right.
Like, okay, I realize that I've done this wrong and I need to apologize for it. Did I do, and then she looks to her sister like, did I do this right? Like,
and
did I?
She's like,
all right. Imagine right now if one of the two traveled and Elaine and Egwene get together face to face. It's just them, and Elaine goes, "Oh my gosh, Egwene, I just experienced and learned about Toe in like the most serious way." And Egwene would be like, "Oh my gosh, like, are you okay?" Da 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 da. Like, from her perspective, be like, "Wow, you just went through something." And Elaine's like, "Yeah, I apologized to Matt, and then when I yelled at him, said I was sorry." And Egwene would be like, "The fuck? That was your toe? That was it? Let me tell you about Toe."
Yeah.
Well, but the thing is
you don't judge
the
other
least
people's
honorable.
toe and toe.
Yes, and the least honorable
Egwene
way.
wouldn't bring it up. Yeah.
Egwene did it the least honorable way because she had to be expedient.
Right.
You get to choose your own way of meeting Toe. And for somebody as haughty as Elaine, for her to put herself below someone, and the same with Nynaeve even more, but to say, "I'm sorry," and to keep doing it is a type of thing, Yeah, but she has to remind herself to keep doing it.
Yeah.
Right.
Like it's not, she didn't just apologize once. She's gonna like, okay. And when Nynaeve didn't want to do it, she's like, "Nope, we're going in.
Yeah.
We're doing it."
True.
So
have you ever experienced someone looking down their nose at you, by the way? It's the weirdest thing in the world. Mm-hmm. Like I always like picture it in my head every time they say it with Elaine, and it's
I'm 5'7", so always, especially when I'm around Chris. He has no other option. Chris is a nice guy. He doesn't do it on purpose. It's just if he wants to make eye contact with me, it's
But kind of So while
it's all right. We love our hobbits.
While they're talking about that, though, there's this one weird comment that says that Tom was kind of like making a report on the beggars and all this other stuff outside Carradine's palace, and he said that Jacob Carradine had purchased a floor plan of the Terracin Palace.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just an offhand sort of comment, and then we move on. You could easily miss that. And also the old man with the white hair is mentioned again. He keeps getting mentioned.
Now, they went after the blueprints to the palace, so the next step is disruption of communications, which obviously means invasion.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So,
On essence of time, let's move to the next chapter.
The Festival of Birds.
Festival of Birds, chapter 29. So Matt, here's the dice again. Wakes up all grumpy in his bed. And he goes to check on Oliver. Has breakfast, which was last night's cheese and bread, and asks Oliver
To live in Europe again. Literally, I survived off of wine, bread, and cheese for weeks and weeks and weeks.
Sounds good to me.
It was
And
amazing.
Oliver is asking him a million questions about the day's activities. What's the Festival of Birds about? What's going to happen? Let's go to the
menagerie. Can we go to the menagerie?
Yeah, can we go? Can we
Well,
go?
he's a kid. He's excited.
Yeah.
He's about to go hang out with Matt, what she loves to do.
Yeah.
And
You got to appreciate this, how much this kid's prospects have changed. Like, he was literally probably going to die starving on the side of the road somewhere, and now he's like essentially Matt's
Son.
His ward.
His ward. That's the word I was looking
That's
for.
a good word.
Yep. I get lucky every now and then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So does that make him like Dick Grayson? He's like he's his ward.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't do the racing anymore. I try to take my time.
Yeah.
Giggity.
Yeah, and Matt's also trying to figure out why the dice have started back up. He had no clue last time, like why they did or why they even stopped, but he's really trying to figure out, like, what's this all about now? Like, what's the big reason?
Having read a little further, I want to yell at him. Be like, you have an opportunity now to get away.
Yeah.
Very soon, the opportunity will be gone and you'll be cornered.
Yep.
So do you think he can manipulate it when it's rolling, or is he being controlled by it when it's rolling?
I think when it's rolling, it's still when he's in the choice phase. He can take another path. You might have to take a wildly different path in order to break away from what's coming. But I feel like that's when he has influence over what's to come.
Okay.
But I also obviously he has no clue about this or how to control it or what to do with it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Min's power. Like, she's like, yeah, you see these things. They pretty much always come true, but maybe not the same way we interpret it. I really don't know what to do with it. I'm going to tell you people what I see, but is it going to help? I don't know.
Yeah. My favorite part of her power is when I know what they mean, that's what it means. But if I don't know what they mean, I don't know what they mean. And it's like, okay, thanks, Min. Thank you.
That's so helpful.
Yeah. So as all this is going on, they're making their way to the sitting room, and they open the door to go out there, and Tylen's there. Surprise! And Matt tries to place Oliver between him and the Queen, and
He does. He grabs
does.
the boy
Literally.
by the shoulders and
Quite literally
physically puts him in between. You're not gonna.
I can just see him awkwardly, like, there's a child here. Yeah,
Exactly.
Majesty, what a surprise! He pulls Oliver around in front of him, between him and the woman's mocking smile.
Help!
Yeah,
he's like, well, maybe.
And
it's
he locked the
mocking,
door the night before, but now it's wide open. So, like, obviously,
Yeah.
it's her palace. She can find a way in. I mean,
He's like, I was about to take Oliver out to see the festival, to travel.
and she's like,
menagerie.
perfect. Let me get my assistant. She knows everything for him to see. Here, take Oliver. I was like, yeah, I'll go with the assistant. Yeah, bye.
Yeah. A giant breasted woman walks in, and Oliver's like,
Barely
She's like,
covered by
one hears a
feathers.
good deal about your lad, Rissel. And she walks in and like, wah, wah, wah. And Oliver's like, I'll go with you.
if it was Looney Tunes, his tongue would fall out of his head, his jaw would fall on the table.
There might be a
Which is really sick. Like, he's a child. She didn't even have to
I'm
bother
saying,
bringing her servant to have all of that going on to get Oliver's attention. He would have gone with her no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
this
because
is why
he's
I'm
a
saying
child.
it's
I don't
creepy.
know. By his
it's-
age, I had thoughts about my babysitter.
Yeah,
She
but
was
she was
young
also fully
20s.
clothed, and you still had thoughts about her.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
But the
so
person
yeah,
writing this is in his 60s.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
there's that.
Yeah.
So maybe he has memories of being 8 or 9 years old,
But Oliver,
Yeah, he's
Oliver,
like 9, 10.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oliver immediately breaks away and runs off with her. And
Oh yeah.
Matt's
He's
just
like,
thinking, like,
I'm at.
She
Matt's like,
promised
"Wait,
me popcorn, Matt.
It's like, crap.
Oh shit! And at that
Shoot.
moment, he knew he was fucked.
Yeah.
Yep.
Literally.
Wow.
Oh, shit.
Oh.
I need to stop
That's not-
talking.
Yeah.
God. Yeah, now it got awkward.
Yeah.
man.
Yep. So she turns to him and starts saying, "My sweet lambkin." Starts calling.
First, she starts off, well, for you, I am not a jealous woman, my sweet, because he like clearly was watching Oliver and the hug that he gave right into the woman's bosom, and he was like, if I wasn't in this awkward situation, I'd have great thoughts about that set of weight. And so it's like it's in these moments where it's like, do you feel sorry for Matt?
It makes
And
a difference. It makes a difference when it's not your choice.
It makes a difference
when
too when you've read on. In this moment, I'm like, Matt, there you go
that's right.
again. You can't
You're right.
focus.
Yeah.
you're right.
So I'm talking from that perspective of my initial, like, I'm like, Matt, come on, dude, focus on what's going on. Like, you got the queen here, you got the girl there, you got the boy there. You need the boy to block the queen. Like, you needed that pawn,
That's true.
and you let it get taken by the rook. Like,
And like, as much as a lot of us love Matt. I love Matt, but Matt, up to this point, right? You would say Matt's the kind of guy that would drop that joke. Well, the thing about boobies. Once you see a pair, you want to see them all. Like and even this scene kind of feeds into that.
a little cringy.
But then that goes to, I don't know. No, we can talk about it when we get there. Let me stop.
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying, Chris, and
that's a
Reed
panel
at
for
this
another
point,
time.
right?
So at this point,
you are right.
Tylen starts to wave, basically right in front of his face for emphasis. The key. It's like, I made a second key, so that's
People
why I can
always
get in.
keep keys in the box near the door.
Yep. And using one of the keys, she locks them both in the room.
And then puts them both in her little coin pouch or whatever.
Yep. Yeah. Puts them
Oh,
both
that's
in her
where
belt.
that's where we're calling it. Is that the PC term?
Yeah.
Okay, we're not talking prison pocket here, so just
Oh,
stop.
sorry.
It's called a ham. It's called a ham wallet. Get it right.
Right. The deli drawer.
Yeah.
Squishman.
And this is where Matt actually gets angry and tries to reach for the key and actually lays hands on her, grabbing her, trying to get it. And she responds with taking out a dagger, whipping it out. Dagger. Sorry.
The old dagger move.
Yeah, the old
That's so
dagger.
fucked up.
Right beneath his chin. Yep.
He snapped. It was too much. The woman hounded him, tried to starve him. Now she locked them in together. Like he didn't know what. Lambkin. The bloody dice were bouncing all in his skull. Besides, he had important business to see. So this is where the dice matter. The dice were louder. The dice were rolling. He still had a decision to make. The dice had never had anything to do with finding something, but he reached in 2 long strides, seizing her arms. He began fumbling in her belt for the keys. I don't have bloody time for. The dagger was there. The dice are always a warning of impending danger. And if he had not stepped into it, the dagger would not have been in his throat.
We will never know.
He engaged in this moment.
Well, he made a choice.
He definitely made a choice. Yeah, he did step into it.
And he stepped into that situation where now, are we to say that he could have talked his way out of this? Or he could have like jumped out of a window or found his way to the door and kicked it down, or probably not. But like you said, we'll never know. But he definitely put himself in a situation where he put his hands on around near this woman. So now she's pulled a knife on him.
And
she's got all the right to have pulled that knife on him, because up until this point, it was harassment, but it was playful.
Now it's turned into
viewed.
under knife point. Take off your clothes. I'm going to do what I want with you. Like, or you die.
I don't know. I think he was okay to try to grab the key, but I think he did it out of desperation. I don't even think he thought that.
He felt backed in a corner
Yeah.
pretty severely, so that
Yeah.
he was in flight mode. He needed the key to do it.
Just his only thing he could do. Like there's
Well,
literally
flight was his only option. He's not
Yeah,
And I
gonna
only
fight.
the only other
I
option was
only
at the window,
say-
like you said.
Yeah, I only say what I say to point out we've talked about the dice and the purpose of them. It's impending danger. Watch your step.
But so if it's a little bit
And
what
he
I'm
already
thinking,
knew she had
that-
the daggers, and she was able with the daggers, and that she may react in a way that would
Right.
get him in a lot of trouble.
if what I'm thinking that the rolling dice sound means that he still has choices he can make that might lead him away from the danger, then that suggests had he not stepped forward, maybe all those different plausible situations you were throwing out there, Chris, maybe
You
one of
keep
those
on-
could have happened. Maybe
You
he
keep on
could have.
using that word, and I don't think you know what it means. Choices.
Which one choices?
It's the wheel of
I
time.
do.
There's
Jordan doesn't, or whoever labeled these chapters, they have no clue what choices means. But to your point, okay, if instead of stepping in, he steps back and continues the conversation, the dice would keep rolling in his head. And, maybe he tries to get the table between his move, dice still in his head. But maybe just buying time would have given the opportunity for somebody else to barge in or something else to happen. Or it was the moment he stepped in that it sealed the deal on what was going to happen.
But
It was
the
at that
dice
moment.
didn't stop though.
No.
In that moment. They're still
Okay.
like he specifically says the dice are rolling, like they're still rolling.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, because he still has a choice where he could fight her off. Can Matt physically beat the snot out of her and get out of this? Yeah.
Maybe we don't know, man. Maybe she's
Well,
like a
he very
fucking-
I feel
clearly
pretty
says-
confident that
Well,
he could,
Well,
but
and
he's not.
at the point where the knife is up he thinks, can I grab her wrist before she can just
Yeah.
right up into my brain?
Right.
I mean,
No
she's got it, and his chin is up, and she's backing him up. I mean, his chin, he's on tiptoes.
So she's
She-
got real. She's
Yeah,
on the verge. She's got pressure.
yeah.
Mhm.
He's like,
Mm.
can I even? And she's like, nope. Put your hands down, hands by your sides, and she's just backing him up, and he's trying to find a way to, get out of it in his head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And then it smashes to black after this and comes back considerable time later. And obviously she's had it her way with him because he's completely naked, smoking his pipes fiercely, only wearing his fox head medallion and the scarf around his neck, which she calls her little bow present or ribbon for her present.
Yeah. So
Majesty, Tylan. Well, maybe he was in a bit of a panic, to use her name. Could you call any woman in Nebudar duckling or pudding all day, and she would smile, but use her name before she could say, like she say you could, and you found a hotter reception. Like he was the part that we're skipping over is the panic. Will
Yeah.
you
Mhm.
answer?
Yeah.
Like,
He's
what is
totally
your
unnerved and
intention?
panicked.
Yeah.
Like even in this moment, still, I was thinking she was a dark friend after all, and he was warned, and he did nothing like to avoid it beyond. Like he didn't talk to others about his concern, and now she has him because this, in the instant that the knife was originally put to his throat, it says she went cold.
Yeah.
And so it was like reading that, I was just like, damn, Matt's dead. Like, this is why this is one of the most hated chapters or the most hated areas is Matt's about to die. Like, that's where
I can see
my
that.
mind went right
Oh.
then and there. Like,
Yeah.
remove your hand, she said coldly. He managed to look down his nose at her face. She was not smiling now. He let go of her arm carefully. She did not lessen the pressure of her blade, though. She shook her head. Tisk, tisk. I do try to make allowances for you being an outlander, goosling, but since you wish to play roughly, hands at your side. Move. Like, he's already had a moment where a woman had, a knife at his throat. And so, like, in my mind, it's like Matt still hasn't learned his lesson, and now he's about to.
Is this his third time with a woman with a knife pulled on him?
Fourth.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Because
did
we
the-
had the Eye of the World, Dark Friend. We
Yeah.
had Melindra, Dark Friend. So
Mhm.
who could blame you for thinking another knife in his throat, another Dark Friend?
Oh,
And
well,
dice
with the
still
with
rolling.
that IEO kissing game was spears, not really a knife.
Oh,
but
yeah,
there's
those weren't
that.
Dark Friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the
Yeah.
Maiden's Kiss.
Yeah.
So there's this
Another
build up.
sus thing, by the way.
A little bit. A
Yeah.
little bit.
But there's a build up surrounding him where it's kind of like that boy crying wolf type deal.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody views Matt this way.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody in the book has this narrative. All the readers have this narrative. And then we get to this point where now there's anxiety in his voice. Now his voice is raised. Now he's not sure what's going to happen. He's not getting answers. Like, he's like, she couldn't mean to. It was not decent. It was not possible. And he's like, you can't do this to me. And she says, watch and learn, my kitten. And so it was in that. And then she drew her marriage knife. It was in that moment where I'm like, oh shit. She's not going to kill him, but she's going to have her way.
Mm-hmm.
And still in my mind, it's like, well, I mean, he kind of has a reputation. He kind of flaunts it. Like, are we okay with this?
I was more thinking, is Matt okay with this? And at that, or I kind of spoiled it earlier. It wasn't until the moment after where he's covering his eyes and crying, and that emotion breaks through, that it became pretty obvious to me that doesn't matter what kind of lifestyle he played around with before and how flirtatious he was before. I think he was clear enough that he did not want her advances, and he did not want that to happen, and that he had zero control in the situation. And
she even says, like, the thing that in movies when something like this happens and the roles are reversed and like they want to make you really hate the like, obviously you already hate the attacker at this point, but they really want to drive home that they're a piece of shit. She says the thing that they always say, and it's, what's the matter? You enjoyed yourself as much as I did. Like, that's literally what she said.
Yeah.
She literally says that. And here,
Mhm.
and that's what I'm talking about. Like, okay, and I'm going to get into something here. So, a lot of people who've never been in a situation similar to this in any way, can't understand why anyone would go through with the situation. I was in physical danger, having been beaten up and, being held against my will and raped, but then go along with it enough to let them let their guard down so that I could be let free.
yeah,
Right. So there's many different reasons why he could have gone, like, okay, I'm in danger now. I'm going to go ahead and go along with it. And the thing is that biologically, his body's going to respond the way
Sure.
bodies respond, especially if you are used to, like, these things in the past, you've had these associations with them and your body just responds. And so, there are many different reasons for this. And so I think a lot of people, they read this and they go, yeah, well, he did go along with it and he did. She's like, yeah, well, you enjoyed it. I mean,
yeah.
She was humming by the side of his bed
so
while buttoning herself back up.
Literally
Oh,
could be
yeah,
like
that
a
was
horror, like a thriller scene, like in a movie where it's like, the villain is like, like it's literally that's who she is in this scene right here.
Well,
Yeah.
and that's exactly, my mind switched. And in the reading, they do a really good pause here.
do they? I've never listened to it.
Oh yeah, they're amazing in this.
There's a great pause before it's picked up. I swear, like a reader or a skimmer would be like, and then had to go back to it. They give you a moment to kind of think about it.
Okay.
As she's like putting her dress back on, as he's sitting there with nothing but the the medallion on, you
Mhm.
know, you should not have flounced Duckling. You shouldn't pout. Like, she's being condescending, she's being
Mhm.
belittling, like she is
Oh,
fully
and then she hits him
control.
with the "you should smile more."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a
That's-
question here. Okay, so it occurs to me that some people will say, and with they victim blame, and they say, well, you know, you have sex with lots of people, and you wear this provocative clothing and you act a certain way, so you
Yeah, but
deserve it.
even if you've had
You
sex with
deserve it.
the same person multiple times before
It doesn't matter.
consensually,
It could be your husband.
and
It
then
doesn't
you
matter. Your
don't,
wife.
Yeah, she's literally
it's the problem.
doing all of the tropes of a assaulter. Like,
Yes.
Yes.
But-
And Jordan
so-
has just flip-flopped it and made it a woman to a man instead of what we
so
mostly
then
see as a man to a woman.
this is where
Yeah.
I can see where the readership would be like, it's not natural. I'm the one who's supposed to do the chasing.
Yeah. But also,
Like,
Matt, at this point's in
He's
complete
grasping,
shock.
right?
Yeah,
Well, I
he's
don't
in
know
shock.
if
He's
it's
just
shock, but he's
shocked, but
definitely
he's-
trying to make
yeah.
sense of when you
What
come
just
out of a
happened.
traumatic event, your brain has to try and make sense of it.
Mhm.
And when there's when there's a piece of the puzzle that just doesn't belong, doesn't fit, you create something that fits.
Yeah, you try to force it.
I talked about, I forget how we got into it, but an episode or two ago we were talking about the girls, and I was talking about how there were people that came for counseling, and it happened on a couple of occasions where they actually ended up having sexual encounters with the same person that had raped them multiple times after. And so people try to use that as an argument of, well, no, then they didn't rape you, they didn't assault you, whatever. And there are times where the first time they may have fought it, and every time after that, whether they talked about it or how they engaged in it, they were in an effort to take control and be in control and not feel out of control.
they did it.
They did it.
Yeah.
Because
You also have to accept if you fight every time, you have to accept that it happened.
And you're a victim every time.
Yeah.
And there's some people that the way they're wired, they just refuse to be a victim so much. Like
you lie to yourself. It's a compartmentalization tactic.
And again, you're thinking in the 2020 lens.
Yeah.
And the 1990 lens, where we're just now realizing, and I put that in air quotes for people that can't see, realizing that this can happen to men, or again, we there's this. I wrote an entire paper about the toxicity of masculinity and portrayed in literature, and I say literature loosely, in stories. Men are always the domineering factor, and so here we have in a narrative where a man has been dominated, and it's she even points out, like, this is our culture. Like, I forget that you forget that you are an Ebadar. Oh, I do keep forgetting. Like, she keeps making these statements, like, as a society, in our culture, in the American way, men are macho. Masculinity is the definition of alpha, and we are always in control. And we have always, again, had this narrative where men don't necessarily have that level of feeling. We have greater physical control, like, with all of this being our story.
Yeah, but there's ways a woman can control a man that's not physical. So it's not like a woman has to be able to physically be bigger and stronger than me in order to rape me.
Yeah,
There are ways
I'm
women
making
can
the statement
control
of,
and manipulate and force me into a situation.
as a reader,
That has nothing to do
You
with
have to
physical
think
ability.
about the lens, like, and again, I'm
Yeah.
saying I could see why people from the readership may have viewed this one way or another,
Mhm.
because they're looking at it from so many different perspectives. And you know,
Hmm.
in the 1990s, we weren't really talking about men being raped for real.
Mhm.
No,
We-
back then it was still men can't be raped.
Yeah,
And it was
Yeah.
that, you know, Zuul, you touched on it, the biology of it, of like, well, men and women are different. You know, a woman can be forcefully penetrated against her will, but in order for a man to do it, like to be
He needs to be
raped, he
hard,
still has
yeah.
to be erect, right?
Mhm.
Well, let me tell you
Yeah.
something. It, you know, it changes as you get older, but certainly when you're young, certainly at Matt's age, you could sneeze and have an erection.
Yeah.
You,
I mean,
you might
he's
be you might
20. I
you might be
mean,
looking at the
seriously.
clouds and
Yeah.
have an erection.
Yeah.
That, like that doesn't equate to desire.
Right.
It doesn't equate to attraction. It doesn't equate to consent.
Yeah.
You can ask any-
Sometimes
you
you
can
just
ask-
have to pee in the morning when you wake
You
up.
can ask any eighth grader male at any time when the class bell rang, and you had to sit there for a minute because
Yeah,
and
you
weren't
fiddle
even-
with your you fiddle with your pencil box, and you're zipping and unzipping your bag. You're trying to do your ABCs, and you're like, "Shit! All I was doing was folded a paper airplane, and now this shit.
And now I
like
can't stand
like
up.
I took Viagra. I don't know what to do."
And I can't stand up.
And
right now.
actually, so the someone in chat said this too. They focus a lot on the physical part of this in the book, but there's the mental part that goes through Matt is huge.
Yeah.
and that was
with Matt.
happening,
but in
that was
real,
both
but in
the
real
whole last-
also.
Yeah, that's been happening for a while,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's been building up to this
Yeah.
moment. And she got what she wanted. She had her way with him, and then she's
and then gives him a
reminding
gift.
him.
And
Yeah.
like, I got a gift for you in the next room. Eat well.
Yeah.
Crazy
always.
Crazy
Always.
enough, I still had the hope that she had the bowl for him.
Oh, like there was just the bowl of the winds was in the next room.
He might
like
still contribute something positive.
Yeah.
Like, okay, if we've learned anything about Jordan so far, he doesn't paint anybody as wholly good or wholly evil. There's a dash of this and that in everybody. It's possible we only see the shitty side of her and we move on, never see her again. It's also possible that she saves the day in a couple of chapters.
Yeah.
That doesn't make what happened okay.
Yeah.
But I
and-
think
and-
this is
And-
what
and you need to point out too that Matt is also worried about her son because he likes to kill people. And
yeah.
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 likes to
That's
duel.
another
Oh,
one.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is what makes Jordan kind of a unique writer, in the sense that whether he meant to be ahead of his times or not, he was, and he's bringing a lot of things to the forefront that people are super uncomfortable with talking
Mhm.
about. And I don't think he ever thought that there would be, hundreds of thousands of people listening to and watching. Shit, he didn't know what a podcast was because it wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
The internet wasn't, when he was writing these books. I don't know the original because I've never paid close attention, but 90s internet wasn't what it is today for sure.
I can actually speak to that if you want, because
Yeah.
Dragon Mountain's been around. This year's 25 years. So, and Robert Jordan used to use Dragon Mount as his personal blog, like toward the end when he was finishing the series, like when he when he got sick.
Mhm.
That was where he posted all his updates about his health and everything like that. And that's also where the also late Wilson Grooms, who Robert Jordan refers to him as his brother. They're first cousins, but they were raised like together. So
Mhm.
like they call each other brothers. But
we know all about that.
but yeah. So
Chris is my brother. Can you see the
Yeah.
family resemblance?
oh yeah, absolutely. Spitting
Yeah.
image.
It's in the
It's the height. It's the height. You guys
Right. You could swap us out and nobody would notice.
no one would notice. He loved the fandom. He actually really loved interacting with the fandom and stuff like that. He kind of adopted Tarvalon.net and Dragon Mount and Theoryland, which was where Matt Hatch comes from.
From the Dusty Wheel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's funny seeing all this happen now, because I was involved at JordanCon also for like 15 years, and all the stuff that's happening in the last like 3 or 4 years, it's been surreal. It's been really cool.
Wow.
I'm gonna have to duck out pretty soon.
You
There
do.
is one one place that after they get attacked by beggars,
Yeah.
when like Beslin says, no, don't give any money to that one. He's not wearing like the ring that shows that he's in the Beggars Guild. And then they get attacked by these quote beggars. And afterwards, he has this thought, and this is what I'm talking about, like intrusive thoughts. He's just almost killed like, 5 times, whatever. And he thinks to himself, after he said, Beslin's like, oh, you're Taviran, Matt. There's always excitement around Taviran. And Matt smiled back with gritted teeth. Bloody fool, bloody city, and bloody Taviran. Well, if a beggar slit his throat, he would not have to go back to the palace and let Tylan peel him like a ripe pear. Come to think of it, she had called him her little pear. Bloody everything.
Yep.
So, I mean, if I just almost got killed, in a normal situation, would not be thinking about anything else. But this is what trauma does to you.
Yeah.
I mean, you could be
Agreed.
driving down the street, you could be, eating your oatmeal, you could be, whatever. And he's worried about this. It could be after the fact, even if he's not worried about it. And this trauma thing he could think about in the middle of whatever, putting on his socks. I mean, it doesn't matter. This is what trauma does to you. And this is what I think is good about this writing, is this kind of thing just sort of thrown in there. And you might gloss over it.
So my ex got a check in my name, ironically enough, while I was going down to Virginia or up to Virginia, and she texted me like, hey, the water company still has your name on things. I got a check. Can you cash it for me? Being a kind person, I'm like, sure, I'll take care of it. So I get this check. Didn't have any run-ins with her. Message her like, hey, I didn't bring my ID with my old last name on it, so I got to take it home to cash it. As soon as I do that, I'll send you the money. I get home, I cash it today, I send her the money, and I'm like, hey, you might want to just check into this and figure out why why they keep putting the checks on my name. It seems like they didn't remove it. I can call and close the account, and you can do that. Again, trying to help her out. And she comes back very snottily like, yeah, this happened with all the accounts. Like, I've had to close them all out, and then I've had to pay fees for it. Kind of like a thanks a lot. I'm taking care of this already. Like, sorry, don't mean to inconvenience you, but of course it's inconvenienced me and like triggered me right away. Like, bitch, like that's
right back to where you left from. You're right
where, yeah. And I realized that again, she wasn't trying to hear what I was saying, which was, let's get the account in your name so this doesn't happen again. Because I just so happened to be in Virginia, but if I wasn't, you wouldn't have access to this money for a very long time.
Yeah.
But for her, it's okay, he's trying to call me out for not doing this, or he just doesn't want to do it. And I'm sitting here, he left everything in my name and or in his name, and now I'm paying the bills in his name and I'm building his credit. I'm like, first and foremost, it doesn't build my credit to have a water bill in my name
that you may or may not be paying on time.
Good. I was like, but if you didn't pay it, then it hurts me. So like, I want it out of my name so that we don't have any confusion. But like, here I am, like, I'm sitting here about to explain myself, about to do this, but I could have just closed the shit and called it a day. It's still in my name. It would have screwed over for all 30 minutes while she called them and had it reconnected in her name. And she pays the $30 deposit or something. Like, but I went through this whole moment of like instant anxiety as I'm reading this text message. And it's like, it took a minute to be like, I don't really have to deal with this. Like, not my life. Yeah. So you're right about trauma. It does capture you in any given situation at any moment.
You get sucked back into it quick.
Yeah. And so I feel for Matt. I just don't know how many people felt for Matt before we really got into serious conversations around trauma and around male rape and consent and like all of these different pieces of the puzzle that we're really puzzling out now, and the difference in being an ally versus being somebody who can, and being empathetic versus somebody who has been in the situation. Like there's stark differences, and you may think that you understand, but until you've been in that moment and actually come to terms with these same realities, you still can't fully embrace and understand. And even when you have been through that stuff, you cannot fully understand another person's thoughts and feelings, because it is their self, it is their super ego that's dealing with these situations, not yours. So there's no full-on commiserating in these situations.
All right, guys.
All
I have
right,
to duck
Zuul.
out.
Yep. Have fun on the
I
stream.
have to say this
you,
before
Zuul.
you leave, Zuul. We finally have the Elaine that I've been wanting from like the moment I met her.
Oh
So
yeah,
I'll
she
leave it at
shows up
that.
in a little bit.
She
Oh
does.
yes, I
Yep.
know.
Yes.
I'm sad that I'm ducking out before this chapter. I'm like, go,
Yep.
Elaine,
Yep.
get him, get him. All right,
All right, Zuul.
love
Thank
you
you
guys.
so much.
Yeah.
Love you too.
Well,
All
so
right.
I'll see you in a little bit.
Okay, bye.
Right. So yeah, so after Matt cries, he grumbles a bit as he tries to find clothes, because she cut all his clothes off the knife, so he has to find new clothes.
Yeah.
He disposed them all, so Niram won't find them. Trying to cover the tracks up.
He doesn't want to be
Yeah.
embarrassed.
Yeah. Yeah, and the key's gone as well. Meaning that she can come in whenever he wants. So it's just it's tough. All of this after post scene finds the gift and with a mask, and she pays him, which there's 20 crowns and a little note saying, "Piglet, here, go buy yourself something nice," which is like even more of those tropish type things like that a true aggressor would do. Like,
Here's your money. I've paid my whore.
Yeah, exactly.
Also like it's like she's setting up like he took the money and used it, so obviously he was
it's
okay
a
with
quid pro quo that he was in on.
it. Yeah. So it's like he literally put every single trope into this scene.
Yeah.
But again, but what was Matt going to do at that point? Where was he going to go for help? Who was he going to tell?
Nobody.
Yes, nobody. I did
Bridget.
think Brigitte. Yes.
Brigitte.
I feel like if he'd have gone to her and explained to it, remember,
she might have killed her.
She's not just worldly; she's worldly for many lives, and she knows enough about how things can go both ways. And I do feel like Brigitte might have put hands on this woman.
Yeah, I could see her killing her. Absolutely.
Right. Yep. So I don't know,
because
for that.
Because like Brigitte is like not just like, I'm sure she has like the relationship with Matt where it's like big sister, little brother type thing, but she's also like thousands of years old. So like, she's probably got like a little bit of a motherly feeling to him too. So she wants to protect him in some ways, so
you would hope she would have like a very well-defined bright line on certain things of what is right, what is wrong, and like boundaries that absolutely should not be crossed.
Yeah.
Man or woman or whatever. And you would hope that would be one of them.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So, so after this, Matt decides to go meet up with Brigitte and Nalcian in the courtyard to go to the festival, act like nothing happened, and sees Brigitte wearing a super revealing dress, which Matt comments on. He's like, sometimes it's fun to be looked at. So a little more lighthearted in this scene. Although there are some other things that come up. Beslin shows up.
I never expected to see a warder garbed like that.
Yeah.
Matt's like, and then he's like, and I think it'd be good for my mom. And Matt's like spits tea out of his mouth. Like, and then a woman looks over and she like gives him a little glare and a little wink. He wants them.
That's the part I wanted to say. That part is hilarious. Like he spits tea all over this woman, and she's like, "Hey." I mean, I'm not gonna kink
might like
shame.
that.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to kink shame. But like that was hilarious. I was like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
didn't see that
Um,
coming.
And Matt wants to demand, like, what the hell are you doing here, Beslin? Like, and Beslin's like, what? I had so much fun drinking with you guys. I want to go to this festival with you. You guys are fun. Like,
We're bros.
we're bros now. And Matt's like, fuck.
I don't like any of this.
I don't like it. Yeah, and the entire time he's trying to figure out like how he can just play it off and act cool around Beslin after what happened, so he doesn't find out. Which, you know, obviously find later. The funny part is Beslin knows everything and doesn't
Right.
care.
Yeah, he's like, I can
it's
see
kinda
why my
cool,
mom
like-
chose you for as pretty. Like,
Yeah.
but this is an
I
entire
like
society
you.
of people that like view this as okay.
Right. Well, that's the other thing. So he could tell everybody there, they'd be like, "Yeah, that's normal. You
Yeah.
should feel thankful that she chose you to
yeah.
fuck."
Yeah.
That-
I
She's
wonder
cool.
if any of the men like would ever even think to say no. You know what I mean? Like Abu Dari men. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like are they raised this way? To just be
It's
like,
he knew he
accept it. Like,
approved.
Yeah, this
Like,
is just
those
the
were his
process.
words. Yeah.
This is what you go through.
are Abu Dari men just raised to accept being assaulted by women? Like, is that what it is? Because that's the way
Mhm.
they kind of, right? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
fair
will
question.
say it already feels different even having this conversation without Zuul here.
Yeah.
Because you know what immediately went through my mind as we're asking these questions? Like now I'm thinking about our own history and for how long were women all over the world treated that way, and how many places in the world are they still treated
Yeah.
that way?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's certain cultures where literally they're just breeders.
Yeah.
That's it.
Mhm.
You get assigned to a man. You don't get a say in it.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah, and you said something earlier that right along that same vein that made me think of something like that too. It was where you said Matt went into the situation, like he went into the tower knowing full well that this is gonna, like, not that this was going to happen, but like it's probably gonna happen, or there's a
Right.
good chance this is gonna happen. And I'm like, I wanted to say, well, I'm not a woman, so I can't really say. That's why I didn't say. But I wanted to say, look, welcome to be a woman in like today's society, everywhere, like pretty
Right.
much, like
yeah,
Yeah. Yep.
man.
Yeah. And Matt even tries to talk Beslin out of it, you know, saying that we don't have to gang out. It's all right. It's all good.
I'm not that much fun, anyways.
like,
It was
yeah, you know.
yeah. Go somewhere else,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah. Doesn't work.
He says they tried to kill
It's
you
a
and
rough
everything. I'm gonna stay with you.
Yeah.
I like that. I like how they have the beggars have like a fucking union. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then the
I get
real
that.
beggars get pissed that these fake beggars were trying to kill people, and then they kill the shit out of the fake beggars.
Yeah. 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 So it's
Stay
the
off
fun.
my turf.
Who hired the fake beggars?
What
The
level
white
beggar are
folks.
you? Let me see your card. You don't have a beggar card? Well, I guess it's a ring here. But
they bring the giant inflatable rat out, put it in the street. and-
Well, it reminds me like, so some cities actually have something similar to this, like where you have to get a permit to
Yes.
like,
Florida has
So, like,
Florida's like
yeah,
that.
Virginia Beach, right down the road from us has that. So like if you go and like start playing music and put like a jar out, you have to get a permit to do that.
Yeah,
Like,
you
you
need a
can- you can do
busker.
You can
Yeah.
do it, but you have to be actually licensed to beg.
but because of that, people take advantage of it, and you have beggar pimps that have groups of beggars that get assigned corners to go to do things, and they
Uh-huh.
pull the money together. And some of them make shit tons of money.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because they take all the money from the people. Yeah, yeah. Because a lot of the places where you need to register for that shit, you need to have like a phone number and an address. Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I learned that after my freshman year in college. It was me and this guy named Thomas Drake. He played the guitar and I played bongos. So we went down to the boardwalk and we decided just like for fun. I mean, it wasn't like we need the money. It was just for funny. Like we decided to play some music on the boardwalk, and he opened his guitar case for you to put money in, and we started just playing music. And a cop showed up and like literally threatened to write us a ticket because we weren't permitted. And we're like, wait, you have to have a permit to do this? And like, yeah, no, you have to submit a ticket. Yeah,
You're not authorized to be poor
you
here.
submit your music, you have to get approved and everything like that. And like, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
We pre-approve our poor and beggars here.
Yeah. They only enforce that in the nice areas, by the way.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's Virginia Beach, so yeah.
Yeah, it's Virginia Beach.
I'm not trying to play music to get sprinkles of crack in my bucket, though. So, like, I want to perform in the rich areas.
Yeah. So
Man,
it's a pretty awesome like fight scene though with these beggars, like Matt and Brigitte back to back fighting. You know.
Yeah.
That's a duo.
Oh yeah.
Is this
I would-
foreshadowing? Are there future
For
battles?
sure. Yes.
Does Matt water up and they water
Absolutely.
together? Like
No. No.
Yeah.
When our
No.
powers activate,
Yeah.
they put their
Yeah.
water rings together.
Yeah.
Back to the original question: who do you think sent this group of beggars?
The White Cloaks.
White Cloaks? Okay.
Or what's her name?
The only other recent mention of beggars were the ones that were on the street in front of Carradin's
Yeah.
Yeah.
place, right?
So there's some connection there.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it was them.
Makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, and Matt gets mad at Beslan. Like, do you know there's beggars that ended up going around attacking people? Like, what the hell? It's your city. Like, why are and Beslan's last goes, you're Tuvirian. Of course they're gonna attack you. That's what's fun hanging out with you. Like, we get to kill some beggars.
He's like, I don't care.
Beslan, you're crazy. But
It's that man is out of his mind.
yeah.
I picture him dressed as Inigo Montoya, by the way, in this scene. I don't know why. That's just what happened in my head.
Yeah. Go ahead,
Big
Ian.
fluffy shirt.
Oh, I
Yeah.
thought I was still muted. So
Oh, yeah.
No.
I turn it back on.
But yeah, so then after this they go to the Rose of Elbar, which is the same tavern where the kin hang out, which Matt does. I guess Matt knows at this point to have some bad tea. You know,
All the tea's bad. That's
all the tea's bad.
no good tea.
But it's hot.
Yeah,
And that's what matters.
and that's when Beslan has a conversation with Matt about, I think you'd be good for my mother, Matt.
Yeah.
He's like, what? Like, he spits his drink out like the spit take. Like, what'd you just say? He's like, yeah, my mom's pretty. I'm glad she picked someone I actually like. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, ¿por qué?
I'm not
Yeah.
okay with this.
It could be a defense mechanism because so my parents divorced in high school, so then my mom became single. And if y'all haven't figured this out about Alan and probably the rest of my friends, that turned into jokes about how they want to, get with my mom jokingly, right? I'm sure, hopefully jokingly. God, I don't even want to think about that.
know.
But as my defense mechanism was, my defense mechanism was to call my mom, put her on speakerphone, and be like, "Hey, mom, Dave wants to take you out on a date. Dave, come here. Tell him where you're taking her. Hey,
fantastic.
mom, tell him you want to invite your son along and he has to pay. We could both get a dinner out of this." Like, I didn't even fight the jokes. I just went along with it.
My angle was just to send your mom dildos in the mail from you.
I will say
He's
you're
like,
the
"You
only
wanna know what
one.
else?"
You're the only one who ever followed through. The only one. Nobody else.
Fantastic.
Tommy's not joking.
That's hilarious.
It's still in my garage. I can't even keep it in my house because I
Oh,
don't want to deal with it.
Oh, God.
Wow.
There's literally in my garage. There's a dildo that.
That's how you know y'all are good
Alan
friends,
watched my
because
mother.
you
That's
gotta
your
be
mom-
real good friends
That's
to be
your
able
mom
to do that.
gave to you, saying, "Alan said this to me. I don't want
Yeah,
it."
right. He forced me to have
Not
a
why
conversation
did
with her
Alan say
about my
this?
friends buying her dildos. That's the bad part. It'd have been better if she was like, "I don't even want to know, just take it." But no, she's like, "Why?" She's asking why, and I'm like, "Mom,
Why?
don't make me."
Tom,
Don't
to
get-
put clarification,
forcing
this is
the
an entire
conversation.
Wheel of Time reason for this. So, Nablus has the Red Rod Tangriel, which is a vibrator.
Yeah.
So someone won a prize, and Ian said you should ship the
God.
So buy one of those for one of our patrons. As
I
well.
thought you meant that one, the one that he has in the garage.
No, wait, yeah, the red rod Tangerel. You should buy it from Nablus' website and send it to our patron.
Alan had
in the same conversation, he said, and also send a frosty mug to my mom
because she's been asking for one.
So I sent the frosty mug to our patron, and then sent the frosty mug and a dildo, the red rod Tangerel, to Ian's mom.
And I told my mom to expect something in the mail. Because I'm thinking frosty mugs coming. I'm like, hey mom, Alan's hooking us up. He's sending
I bought you something for you.
You're gonna love it. You're gonna be so surprised. You've been asking for it.
Oh man.
Call me when you open it. I want to see your reaction.
Oh my god. It hurts.
The phone call was, hey mom, how's it going? Mom goes, what the fuck is wrong with you?
What the fuck is wrong with you?
You tell Alan I'm not cooking for him anymore.
Oh God.
Yeah.
That's terrible and fantastic at the same time.
That's
So we
the
still
thing.
I chewed
Alan out, and then I told him, I was like, but that was awesome.
Yeah, it better be funny. Like if it's gonna be that crazy, it's got to be funny too. So yeah,
so you know, I'm not.
So
mad
we still
at
have it, and I'm trying to figure out what to do with it. So I'm still having ideas. So
bring it to Jordan Con.
We can bring it to Jordan Con and give it away. But I thought about even better is like Daniel Green does a segment goes, "Dear God, please don't be a bomb," and I thought that'd be perfect.
Oh yeah,
I like it. You should get. You gotta like. Oh man, you gotta do something fun with it though.
Yeah.
Put like a decal. No, that's not funny. You gotta do something funny.
Yeah. Well, I'll figure something out. It's been like a year now, or a year and a half.
Just have a little tag on it where it says like from Alan, and then to, and then have Ian's mom crossed out. Ian crossed out, and then Daniel Green underneath that.
Perfect.
Just show the history of the
the travel that it's been on.
Yeah, it's been through a lot.
Oh, someone play the giggity. Play the giggity.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, you gotta do that. On the wrong screen.
There it is.
It's been through a lot, he said.
Ooh, that's what she said.
Oh.
All right, Alan, where?
All right, bring us back. All right, so after the whole
all
pretty conversation, Matt gets upset, stomps off. He asks where he's going. Yeah, he asked where he's going. Matt's like, I just need to clear my head. And he shouts back at them, saying, if I'm not back tomorrow, tell them they'll have to find their own way, find it themselves, or find the boat themselves. Yeah, so he leaves because he doesn't realize the dice are still spinning his head as the chapter ends. All right, now as the section ends, because we go to Rihanna next. But that's how we end the Matt portion, is the dice are still going in his head.
Yep.
Yeah. So everything that we've already talked about, we jumped on it early. This would have been a good time to get really deep into it, because from the reader standpoint, this is where, as Matt's walking off, he just went through this fight scene. You could tell he's processing all of this. I'm worried about where Matt's going to go from here. And in a way, this is an answer to what you mentioned earlier, Tom. You were like, I'd like to see what your reaction is or your thoughts on this after reading more.
Yeah.
And my first instinct was that no matter what happens with Matt moving forward, no matter what type of person he becomes, no matter what he says, even about this situation, it's all now like it's all a result of what he went through. It's all a reaction to what he went through. So obviously I can't answer. I haven't read ahead, but even if 3 chapters from now, Matt's like, oh no, like, yeah, I wanted it. It was pretty cool. Or Matt turns into this massive whore because of what he went through. Or maybe now Matt becomes the aggressor because he refuses to be the victim ever again. Good, bad, or whatever, it all comes back to this potentially having a significant impact on who he becomes moving forward. So anyways, and he's wrestling with that as he walks off and says, maybe I won't be back,
Now there is something that I want pay close attention to. as we switch scenes. For days it had come on almost with the morning and faded with the sun, and for days she fought it, talking about the sudden urge that had grown so strong to move the girls. So this Rian, or Rian, how you pronounce her name, every time the sun came up, she felt nudged or pushed to make a move, and then as the sun went down, it faded. It would come and it would go, and it would come and it would go. And the last going happened as you have Matt following Salon, whatever. Salon. Matt's Taviran is nudging her in that direction. And it's in moving everybody to, what does she call it, the farm. I think that's where we're gonna find the bowl.
Okay. Yeah.
There's gonna be a lot of activity for Matt and the crew to see happening.
Yeah.
And they get taken to the bowl.
Okay. And I mean, this chapter just ends that way with them doing that. So I mean, it's very short little snippet. Yeah. Any thoughts of this chapter before we move to the final chapter, the first cup?
The thing that I felt a little weird about this chapter was I guess they kind of with the beggars attacking him, probably dark friends, I guess. But the chapter icon, it's a dragon's fang, and that's usually when it's
white clothes.
They're dark friends.
Dark
male
channelers.
Or
male channelers.
Male channelers, yeah.
But there's usually it's usually followed either by Ashaman or
Rand
Dark
or
Friends. Yeah.
Dark Friends. Yeah.
Rand is usually the ancient Aes Sedai symbol, though. It's not just the dragon fang.
Right.
We've also discussed, and obviously you've seen more chapter titles and pictures and stuff than we have, but they're not perfect indicators.
No.
There's some that even at the end of the chapter we're like, not sure where they were going with that one, but I guess if I had to make a connection,
up there.
Right.
But and we do see a dark friend in this next chapter. So
the next. Yeah, that's what I was about to say. The next chapter icon indicates Forsaken, because this is always the one that they do with the Forsaken, is the one that I don't even understand.
The snakes, the snakes in the square. Yeah.
Because snakes, and squares mean evil.
Yeah. Because I'm a snake.
Don't be a square.
I'm a snake.
Don't be a
so the first cup, chapter 30. So Marielle leads a trial against Elaine in the presence of the Saldar Aes Sedai, including Adelaeus and Vendine. She and Nynaeve are accused of seeking knowledge of the
you have endangered a secret kept close by every woman to swear the Shah for over 2,000 years.
Yeah.
Secret? What secret?
Right.
I wear the shawl. I don't know the secret.
Popped in my head. I didn't know you can do that.
You kept a great secret because even I don't know
you can do that.
That's also a pretty cool thing, though, that a lot of people don't really think about at this point, because it's of what's happening on screen. That means the kin have been around for 2,000 years.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. For a minute.
Yeah.
Yep.
Actually, that's a hot minute.
Yeah. That is a hot minute. You are correct.
And when all we've done is found the bowl of winds! ! Like we did what we set out to do. We accomplished something great.
I'm literally
tower,
accomplishing the mission.
Apparently, the tower's known about the kin forever, and they serve a purpose, and they don't want them rooted out because they bring back runaways. So they're like, "Yeah, you're fucking up our game." Yeah. So, like, we didn't know your game. Like, well, you still fucked up. So. Stand trial.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to cheat and say I kind of predicted this, but even at this point, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, wait a minute. these are the Aes Sedai that claim to follow Egwene. Egwene literally like said, poof, poof, these girls are Aes Sedai, and sent them on this mission. Like, why are they just acting like Elaine and Nynaeve are pieces of shit?
Because they don't respect
and
them?
have no standing.
They
Because
didn't
they're
Like,
young?
there the
how-
way they
how
got
are-
there.
How are you going to start something totally new, or as far as they know, new? Maybe it's happened in the past bazillion years ago.
Hey,
But still try to adhere 100% to your
what?
old ways.
You're
Like
E what?
6,
E6.
right in the middle.
You're right.
Have all the
right.
responsibility and none
And
of the
then
power.
that O1 walks in fresh out of college and says, salute me.
So in public and around other people and around other soldiers, they get the salute. But no, when you're in the office handling business, a butter bar and an E6, we're
But that's my point.
at the table when we're making decisions and others aren't around. Definitely E7 and above, they're running the conversation. A very experienced E6 and a butter bar, like he's listening and taking notes, not the E6.
There's
That's
another
my point.
level there with them too, though. It's not just the rank of Aes Sedai and accepted there. It's also within the hierarchy of the Aes Sedai. I mean, you guys know this at this point too,
right?
That the more power you have,
right,
you run the show. And Elaine and
Elaine's got
Nynaeve,
power.
yeah, and Nynaeve is literally the strongest one in the city right now. So
Right.
Well, as far as they know, in the Aes Sedai world,
the Aes
the
Sedai
most
world.
powerful, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Mhm.
To the Aes Sedai, that's what I mean.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but still, they weren't raised the same way. Like, you walked in with your college scholarship with,
And they didn't
the
even
officer
swear on the
rank.
oath round.
Yeah, like,
Yeah,
you didn't have to go through.
but once I see them rock their PT, that they can shoot straight at 300 meters, no problem. That
Mhm.
their decision making and the convoys, like once they've gone through some shit, there's certainly butter bars out there that prove their leadership capabilities right off the bat, and they get that respect.
Well, and these women don't really know what Elaine and Nynaeve have gone through.
That's true.
Oh yeah,
we
they have
we,
no idea.
we know, but they don't.
We
know.
know, but they don't know.
Okay, now
Right.
now I'm
Any of
tracking.
it.
Yep.
Okay, I feel you.
So all this is going on. A letter arrives, delivered by Thailand, from
Favorite
Jacob
part.
Carradine. And
We can end
Elaine,
after this.
yeah, Elaine reads it. And Carradine states that Merguez is still alive, and that Elaine can just come to him and get their protection, and they can go march back on Andor together.
Elaine's
And
like,
everything's
flame on.
Yeah. Elaine's like,
Yeah.
fuck
down
that
on
guy.
Yeah. She's hinted at it before, like in her thoughts of like, do they not know who I am? I'm the daughter heir of da 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 da. But in this moment, it was like a very real, like, wait,
So
the fuck are we doing here?
before you got on, I told told everybody earlier. I'm reading Brent Weeks. I'm reading Lightbringer, and so in this magic system, will is a big part. Like, colors come into play.
Are they
certain
Green Lanterns?
people- Oh yeah, but like a person's will can like overpower and put more behind their magic and help
Hey,
them
that's life.
overcome a lot.
Yeah. I don't know if you
And
guys
in
know
There
this
is truth in that.
Yeah, in this moment, like, this is the steel will of Andor, and
Yep.
she just like the lioness came out.
Yeah.
Right.
And
And
I
it's not
couldn't
just
be
saying
more
it,
proud.
like it was pouring out of her. Like
Yeah.
it was true.
Yep.
There was no denying it for
And
everybody.
her
that heard it
back
come out of her mouth.
stiffened, and it was like, boom!
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is. It
The
will
way-
be.
And once she set off, she turns back to the Aes Sedai. She's like, now listen, this is how it's going to be. Like,
Yeah. The way the Aes Sedai reacted to that is what makes me think that they were more like trying to cling to the fact that like we are gonna have to defer to these two women. Like we have to defer to them. So like maybe we could trick them into thinking we don't need to by treating them like accepted.
right.
They
That's why-
try to be Aes Sedai and they try to manipulate.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They did.
And
I
they
wanna-
found out hardcore right now that shit ain't gonna fly anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to call out Katie in chat because they had a really good question about since Nynaeve can't channel all the time, would her power still put her in the hierarchy there? And it's a great question. Like I don't know like if she was Aes Sedai, yes, like it should be, but also like in the before times, before like if this wasn't Tarmangaidon's approaching and the dragon is reborn and blah 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 blah, she would never have been raised Aes Sedai. Because
I was just about to say Nynaeve would not have become Aes Sedai because she could not use her power at will. Therefore, we're in a new regiment. It's
an interesting question. It's an interesting question, though.
This doesn't
in
answer
the new
it.
regiment. Yes, in this new regime. Yes, in the regime that is understood by and has had thousands of years to back it. No.
Doesn't really matter because she's about to get bail fired anyway. So anyway, continue.
I was gonna make a show reference. I know that really doesn't apply to the books, but as you're asking that's what pops in my mind. Pretty much everybody in the room is about to die, and Nynaeve unloads. Now she can't do this whenever she wants, but she unloads, and the way they show it, fucking amazing, right? Heals everybody. Well, just about everybody. Right. That can be healed. And even Logain himself is like, oh shit. Everybody recognizes the power. But that didn't automatically grant her the authority and respect afterwards. So like,
she's not even accepted at that point.
Right. There's recognition of this insane amount of power, but I think obviously people would take it more seriously, and it would be a thing if she had full control of it.
Yeah. I wonder if they're going to do that in the show with the power and the hierarchies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But Elaine does have full control.
Yeah. Elaine at this point is furious, turns back on the Aes Sedai. Sit down, listen to us. It's like, we were raised to the Shaw, you were there, you saw it, and we were under orders of the Armerlin. You're under orders of the sitters. Like, who's more important? You tell me. Armelin? Yeah. So we're in charge.
The Armelin you supposedly swore to.
Yeah.
Everybody who has a vote right now, raise your hand. Y'all put your fucking hands down. Okay. Glad we figured that out.
So you can listen to us now. We're in charge, not you.
Marlene's eyes bulged, her mouth hung open, but she appeared composed beside the others.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
It's like, we've known about the kin for hundreds of years and rely on them to track down around. It's like, I don't give a fuck what you know.
Yeah. So Elaine's response is almost like, well, not almost like, it's like, the failure isn't in me. The failure is you fucked up and you didn't tell me.
Yeah.
I'm your sister. I should know.
You
the fact
could
that
have.
I didn't know,
We could have
messed
cut
up.
this search down by weeks, if not months. Matt didn't have to get raped. Like, we didn't have to have all of these situations. We could have been in and out. We could have changed the weather. People could be eating and drinking merrily because they could grow their daggone wheat and corn and whatever else.
But y'all are just sitting there playing your games, which
but also
assuming they have the bowl.
Elaine realizes too that they're completely misinformed too, because they think that the Kins are really tiny, small group that doesn't really need to be worried about.
Oh, yeah, they don't even know.
No, they're not small at all. Like, they're a really large group.
And they think that the women don't stay for a long time, that they join the kin for a little while and then they leave.
It's like, you don't even know what you're dealing with.
Right.
What we have is the White Tower and the White Tower.
The little White Tower.
Yeah. No, the White Tower adjacent. It's the same size. They probably have more people in the White Tower adjacent than the actual White Tower.
And they may not
where Rand's going to get all
of
of
way.
his. They don't. And they haven't sworn the oath.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the things they can do, they've been honing it. The little things they can do really well.
And they've had access to thousands of years of studying different Angrel and Tangrel and Sangrel that have been left there. And again, White Tower adjacent. And this is the White Tower that isn't bound to the Oath Rod.
It's the eggshell tower.
Yeah.
Arguably a better authority structure where they have built in that they just kind of cycle through and everybody takes a turn.
And not only that,
and
saying.
they're all over the world.
Yep. That's my favorite. That's the thing.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The kin are really cool. I like them so much better.
These are the people that Rand's been waiting for.
Okay. Cool. So any thoughts about this whole Elaine stepping up and putting all the
I love it. That's my only thought. Like
That's
she
my
finally
thoughts.
that's it. We don't need anything else. She finally became the queen she's supposed to be. She put everybody in their place. They are hopping to and finally going to, they're not really going to obey, but they're going to pretend like they obey because that's what I said I'd do. And she's at least going to get her way, and they're still not going to find the bowl. It's still going to take Matt to find it. But
take five more books. But yeah, go ahead.
But she at least feels better about herself.
These Aes Sedai still have a choice. They can listen to the logic that Elaine just slapped down.
Go with that word choice again.
Be like they could fall in line here, or this might be an awakening to them. Like maybe by getting away from Elida, maybe by leaving the True White Tower, maybe by supporting the Grain, maybe we made a mistake. Because if by doing that we have to accept this, they could choose that. No, this is too much. So there's still there's no evidence in the writing yet, but there's the chance that they kind of acquiesce here only to find a way to dip out later, or maybe they're already working for Elida. That'd be tragic. But there's no guarantee that with this fantastic speech that they're just going to fall in line. Elaine does a great job of laying it out. It's logically sound. It's powerful. It's moving.
Yeah.
But they still have a choice.
Yeah. Anything before we switch to Moghedien?
No, we have to read her part.
What? This is important.
But it's insignificant compared to everything else.
Do you think so? Do you really think so? Okay.
I mean, eventually it might be good.
Some oarsmen, whatever.
But who was on the ship?
Joe.
So Moghedien spots Nynaeve walking towards a ship with a red cabin.
Is that who she spots?
Yes. Nynaeve's on that ship.
Why would Nynaeve be on this?
Yeah.
Is this a flashback?
No, this is happening in real time. This is after the meet of the kin. Nynaeve goes aboard the ships in Ebodar. And Moghedien spots Nynaeve walking onto a ship with a red cabin.
I did get that. She's like, I would recognize that anywhere. No, I did get that. I'm just being facetious. So Moghedien, like, she's riding along. She's being carried by the urchins and everything that she's compelled to. And then she looks over and she's like, those hips, they're swaying. I recognize that sway. I hate that sway. He doesn't know what he won't know. What he doesn't know won't hurt him. Like, I could take 5 minutes real quick and he won't know. And I'll kill her. And then she like leaves and then she runs and she gets a person at the inn to take her to the top of the inn. And then all of a sudden her head is like stroked. And she's like, he knows. I need to get back to where I'm supposed to be. But oh wait, he's not here. Balefire. Oh no, he's here. I missed. There you go. That was the whole. Yeah.
Cut the ship in half. The ship was sinking. It flashed back because you got killed all the oarsmen. So the ship shifted back in the river, back to where it was before the oarsmen started rowing.
Yeah, I love that.
And the two halves were sinking fast into the river. And she's like, "Well, it doesn't matter if it didn't hit the cabins. The ship's going to the bottom of the river anyway. It doesn't matter."
Nynaeve is gonna be triggered. Her powers are gonna erupt. She's gonna explode out of the ship and fly into the air. She's gonna sense Moghedien and
What do you think about her actually stabbing people? Like, she's running through like a crowd of people, stabbing people as she runs to part ways, like with the air, like literally needles.
She makes the biggest scene and gets away with it.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, she's an Ebodar, so they expect to be stabbed and shanked.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Some woman was running through the bar and stabbed a bunch of people. Yeah, and
they had it coming.
That happened at 70 bars last night. I don't know what you're talking about.
So you're saying it was a Tuesday?
Yeah. That sounds like a mild Festival of the Lights to me.
Yeah. So yeah, she freaks out that everyone might know she just bail fired because, well, it's a ton of channeling. So she flees, and that's how we end the chapter with the boat sinking in the river and her fleeing.
Alan's like, I'm sorry for leaving you guys on such a great cliffhanger. I'm like, Nynaeve's gonna make it out of this. She's gonna be saved.
No doubt.
Like
Okay.
either
But Matt's gonna
A,
get
she
killed by
stays-
the queen. Matt's
either
getting killed
A,
by the
she
queen,
stays-
but Nynaeve is okay from the balefire.
either A, she saves herself, or B, Land jumps in. Like we know he's here.
Okay.
watching.
Yeah,
Is that-
that's
is
it's only
that
a matter of
prediction?
time. So, well, remember, I was thinking Land's not just going to rush in, immediately go straight to Nynaeve. Land's the type of guy that's going to get close. He's going to look around, be in the shadows, understand the situation. Land's watching, ready to hop in there. He's taking notes on
Okay.
everybody.
Okay,
So
cool. Anything we missed
he
in this
might have
chapter?
been seeing Mogadine. He might have been watching her from the shadows.
Well,
Maybe
I
he's
have
the white hair beggar. Maybe he's been dressing up.
Mm.
Get it? Wouldn't that be?
What do
I
you
like
say,
I like anytime we get a Forsaken POV. It's just anything they think, anything they say.
Well,
I like when
that
they use
end-
new
I was a little
words.
confused by the end though. She was gonna make Phalion and Ispan crawl. Who are they?
They're
That-
two of the they're two of the sisters that betrayed her when she was captured. Black sisters that were in her little group.
Yeah, we only recently found out Faelane was.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Recently found out.
yeah, that's
Oh,
right.
yeah.
I'm sorry. Like the names hit, but I was like, whatever.
Faelane.
It was like a
Why
couple
do
months
they
ago.
really even matter? Yeah, I do
It was,
remember.
it was
Phalion.
over a month ago for us.
Those are the
Yeah.
ones she
Trouble.
was controlling.
More than a month ago for you, like
Yeah.
a year ago for you guys.
Yeah.
Those are the ones she was controlling from behind the scenes, and they kind of like realized that she wasn't coming back, and was like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
do her
That's
own
right.
thing.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Well, favorite.
So now she thinks
favorite.
she got away with this, so she's gonna try to exact revenge as she carries out Homeboy's wishes.
Yep. Okay. So favorite characters?
Duh.
Who's your favorite character
From just these chapters,
from just the
Yeah,
chapter?
it's Elaine. It's Elaine.
Brigitte for me.
Brigida,
I,
Elaine.
I like that.
I do. So we didn't really talk about the fighting scene, but the fact that Brigida had knives on her and she acted so quick in the scandalous attire, it makes you wonder where that knife is hidden.
Yeah, man, she's a gangster, man. She will. Oh, I can't. I really hope they do her good on the show.
In every
I hope they do it
situation,
good
she
too.
has
We get to
literally
watch.
been there, done that. You cannot surprise her. You can't catch her off guard. I'm gonna go. I need to stay wholesome after some of the depth we got here. I'm gonna say Oliver.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Playing some snakes and foxes,
Yeah.
for like the 100th time, where Matt's just trying to stall. Like, hey, you can play another game. Let's just play another game.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
someone gives you a mask and you get to chase boobies out the room. Like, come on, that's
Oh, yeah, that's good stuff.
what a good kid.
Matt was a close first. Like
Yeah.
he was like adjacent. I know I've used that word a couple times, but
Well, my favorite character from this chapter was Talmanas.
Don't do it. What is wrong with you?
he was here. He's the white haired man.
He's always there in my heart. He's always with us in my heart.
Just when I'm right about to respect you, Alan, you just
Telling me.
you pull some shit like that. Yeah.
He proves you wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so next time on the Will Reads, we'll be doing 2 chapters. And those chapter titles are Mashiria.
Mashiara.
Thank you. And
It's important. He said it right.
Sealed to the Flame. I trust Tom. He's with Dragon Mountain. He knows everything. I don't.
He knows
It's-
he
no,
knows a
it's-
thing or two because he's seen a thing or two.
It's because one of our people at oh wow, Dragon Mount. She's she writes our blog. She's also on the podcast. She does the Dragon Mount podcast with Rajiv and Kathy. Her name is Maureen, but she goes by Mashiara. So like that's Mashiara Sadai is her like tag
There you
name.
go.
So
Gotcha. So Mashiara and Sealed to the Flame.
she would be mad at me if I didn't make sure that it was pronounced right.
Yeah.
So I'm avoiding a beating, is what it is.
That makes sense.
That's smart.
Yeah. Smart.
Sealed to the
Um,
flame.
Yeah.
Huh.
Maybe we get into more depth into the issues with the Aes Sedai that have used the Oath Rod versus those that haven't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we talked right off the bat when we learned about the Oath Rod. I think you were on board with this, Chris. Like there just seemed to be more problems created than solved with that. And the Oath Rod itself. So, Tom, we even got into theories on how the Oath Rod itself might have been introduced by a Black Asha to hamper the rest.
Yeah.
Because I don't see anything good that comes out of it.
Do you remember when it was introduced? Because that is already been.
Yeah, we talked about it after Arthur Hawkwing.
Right. Yeah, okay.
And it, so they say it was part of like appeasing the rest of the world so that they could trust the Aes Sedai. Yeah. So it sounds like a good story. It's kind of like reading the news today, and it doesn't matter the news source you pick. Yeah. Like whoever they like, whatever they're trying to sell, it sounds good. But then you read the details of it, and you're like, I don't think this thing that you're talking about does what you're saying it does.
I don't think it really exists at all.
It doesn't sound good at all. This isn't great. Yeah.
Anyways. Well, Tom, thank you so much for coming on and spending some time with us this evening.
We appreciate you.
I love hanging out with you guys.
Everyone, go check out dragonmount.com. There is spoilers full on that site.
But you have already.
There are non-spoiler sections. So, like, if you go to the forums, there's like, I think there's a couple of forums where it's like spoilers from book X to book X and stuff like that.
Good.
But a great resource if you want to get lots of information about the Wheel of Time and interviews and blogs written by Robert Jordan and extra things that you never even thought can be answered at websites like dragonmount.com. So go check it out. They also have things like a podcast and they've done YouTube stuff. They do lots of things. Dragonmount's kind of a staple in the Wheel of Time community. So check it out.
Yeah. So Monday, if you want to just hang out, we're currently doing. We did a rewatch, WOTCH. So because we're so clever, and we really enjoyed. We did it for the show, obviously, the Wheel of Time show, and we enjoyed it so much. We were like, let's do it with more shows. So now we're watching The Mandalorian. That's why
okay.
Oh yeah.
I haven't watched the recent.
It's just season 1. We're just doing season 1. No season 3 spoilers. So we're doing the new. We're on episode 6. So that's
cool.
This Monday, 9:00. If you want to come and hang out.
That's fun.
Yeah, that's fun. So and how we can be found is at thewheelreads.com. Find links to all of our social media there, along with this podcast. You can find all our episodes there. Find ways to support us through buying our merch, just listening to us, go to Patreon and sign up there because that's how you really support us. If you want to, if you feel so inclined and so gracious that we will shout out an episode and dedicate the next episode.
Support our habits of giving free stuff to people.
Yeah, support our habits of giving away shit. And yeah, that's all I got for this week. So
until next time.
Peace.
Okay, bye.